I always go first.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Hey, I'm FTFE and welcome back to the channel that does to stupidity what the writers of Game of Thrones did to Season 8. It's debate night. That's what Saturday nights are for. And I am joined tonight by the godfather of moderating, the Gandalf lookalike himself, Steve Mcrae. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing awesome, man. Must be the hair. I don't have the beard any longer, so I don't know if I could really be Gandalf.
You're a younger Gandalf.
I mean, the younger. I'm not the gray yet. I'm the what's the unfinished version? He was the it was white then gray, wasn't it, or gray?
No, it was gray then white. What Gandalf did was he told the rest of his raiding party to go ahead so that he could steal all the XP and revive as Gandalf the White.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
XP hogger.
And we've got a debate tonight between Brainy Beaver and Hiphophippy. We'll start with Brainy Beaver. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing okay. We'll see how I'm doing in a couple hours, see how I feel about my life, choices I've made.
How'd you feel about your first debate?
I mean, I'm nervous only because, I know what shape I believe anyways. I'll give him that for now. We'll talk. I know what shape I believe the Earth is, and I know my arguments and stuff, but debating's obviously its own thing, right? Debating's kind of its own art and, takes some skills, right? So, see what happens.
I'm looking forward to
nervous.
it. And Triple H, Hiphophippy. How you doing?
Yo, what's up? It's Hiphophippy, a.k.a. Mad Mardigan, killing trolls. Trolls, go hide under your bridges. And if there's no vacancy under the bridges, just go find a dumpster or something. I don't know. Just get off the streets. Get off the internet.
So you're going to bring it and put Brainy Beaver or Polar Bear in his place today?
Yeah, I'm not worried about this at all. And another thing I'd like to say is hi to my beautiful fiance, Dandelion. I don't think she's going to be in the chat tonight because she has to work, but just want to say I love you. And to all my family and friends, want to say hi. And another thing I wanted to do that I keep forgetting to do is I'd like to give a huge shout out to fucking Southern Israelite. The dude is a fucking heliocentric killer. He just wrote a 1,000-page encyclopedia on flat Earth, debunking everything, all the arguments, and you should go check out his channel because dude is the GOAT. He's definitely the best heliocentric debunker.
So is it going to be on the best selling? It's going to be on the bestsellers list.
Yeah. I know Southern Israelite is definitely the best at deciding what is and isn't a fallacy and if you're allowed to use things as an argument, that's for sure. But if Southern Israelite wants to come on my channel and have a debate with me, he is more than welcome. He just seems to never reply to the messages, so can't be that confident in what he says. But for now, I'm going to pass the show over to Steve Mcrae to look after what is about to be, I'm sure, some kind of dumpster fire. Over to you, mate.
Well, you're predicting it already, aren't you? You're just saying, oh, hey, Steve, making a good dumpster fire. No pressure there. Anyways, I don't think I actually have interacted with either of you two gentlemen. I know Hip Hop, you were on Sequitur before. I wasn't on that, so I don't know anything about you. But anyways, I will be trying to moderate this as far as just letting you guys do your thing. But if there's a problem, if there's something needs to be corrected, or if there's some fallacies, ask. I guess you guys have set it up where you guys will be doing 10 minutes each, and then go back and forth, or 10 minutes, then 10 minutes. I think another 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and then back and forth. Something along those lines. See how formal he has planned this? See, this was planned out weeks in advance, right?
Well, maybe 20 minutes ago, we'll see.
It was told a few hours ago, he was like, can you get a 10-minute presentation together? I'm like, oh, shit, last night would have been a great time to tell me that. Anyways.
Prep work. All right. So anyways, Brainy Beaver, Hiphophippy. Brainy Beaver, tell people who you are because I don't know who you are either. So forgive me for that. Maybe I do. I don't. Do I?
I keep shouting at you in your live streams and going ranch. Anyways,
is that you?
I'm heated so far. That's so many, I'm sure. But no, I mean, I'm Brainy Beaver. I don't know, if I remade my channel, I'd probably change the name a little bit. Maybe something more humorous anyways. But either way, it is what it is now. I started trying to go more of a scientific route, and then I decided I like to poke bears through cages. So a lot of my videos, you know, it's a little bit of science, but I rub some stank on it after that and try to just have a little bit of fun and, you know, make you laugh, make myself laugh. I mean, really, I'm just laughing and letting you guys join in. If you want to laugh with me, come on. You know what I mean? So beyond that, that's
mark
me.
Your territory.
Yeah,
you stink it up and mark
right.
your territory. Awesome. And hip hop.
I'm waiting for them to get a beaver for this, so I get beaver.
I want to make sure I pronounce this right because I'm sure I'm butchering it. Hiphophippy. Is that right?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So it's not hip ho, but Hiphophippy. So Hiphophippy, what about you?
What?
Very good. Thank you very much.
No, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I was kind of doing something else.
As you can tell, he's really paying attention to this. He's looking over his notes and he's just ready to go, and he's going to debunk the Around Earth. So let's give him a little slack here. Tell people about you because I don't know who you are either. Maybe I'd like to know.
Oh, okay. So I reside in Aurora, Colorado, and I'm a scientific glassblower. And when I was, you know, I always used to believe in the globe. I used to love sci-fi movies. I used to think about the planets and the universe all the time. But when I first got introduced to flat Earth, it just made more sense to me. I don't know why. That's what clicked. It made more sense to my experience, my life, and I can't really go back. So.
All right. Well, I tell you what. Hey, Brainy, you might just want to concede now. Then. Do you want to concede now? Okay. If not, we'll give you your 10 minutes. But
I'm ready. I'm ready to see what happens. Let's put it that way.
All right. You know what? Let's do it then. I'm actually going to give you full 10 minutes. I have a timer here, and I'm just going to start it and let you know maybe about the 2-minute mark. Is that cool?
About 2 minutes, you said? What did you say?
Well, I will let you know when you have about 2 minutes left. Yeah, I'll give you 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's what I think.
He's paying attention too. These are well planned debaters that have been practicing this in front of a mirror for several months now. So
I got a lot of high IQ going on over here, like usual. So many tabs.
All right. Here you go.
So many tabs.
Yours.
Oh, it's all mine already. So how excited I am. So, okay, well, I don't know if I can dig out 10 minutes of bullshitting, but let's see what happens. Like I said, I was a little bit short notice. I was running to the city to get things, so I've only had a little bit of time to do this, but let's try. Okay, so, Fight, I sent you some links to some certain things. One of them is a video from the Voice of Thunder, which is Thunderfoot, and yes, this is not mine. We're gonna acknowledge that people other than us do things that we don't have to replicate always.
Yeah.
And that, because otherwise none of us would have anything to look at in our debates because it'd all be like, bring your own picture of the damn horizon. Well, I don't have one. I didn't go up in a hot air balloon today. So, but yeah, if you could bring, okay, so basically the first point, I mean, we have evidence of other bodies rotating. We're not the only body that rotates. We can look up and see other bodies rotating, one of which is actually the sun. The sun has a rotational period of 27 Earth days. And this is, you don't need the audio, I don't think necessarily. He essentially, he shot it over 11 hours of a day. He has a very expensive telescope that you too can buy. Any one of us can buy. It's not restricted to like NASA clientele. It's just the company you order it from. It's a fancy telescope and it's made to look right at the sun. And yes, it tracks it, but it doesn't change the fact that the sun, the optics, it's an analog style in that sense. It doesn't have a display screen. There's no way, like Russian vid says, for it to just try to show us an image. So the things that we look through our telescopes, I own my own telescope. I've looked at objects myself. I've seen the rings of Saturn. I've seen Jupiter and its moons. And you don't need to be NASA to do these things. Now, this right here was taken over the course of like 11 hours. And you can actually see the rotation of the sun just ever so much. Which he admits here that he didn't think he'd be able to see either, but there it is. The sun rotates, everybody. So there's evidence that the other bodies rotate, and that is obviously spherical, or else you wouldn't get to see it rotating. You can see more than half of it at that point, would be the idea. Okay, so we can just kind of keep swifting along, because I know 10 minutes will eat up faster than I believe it will. The other one is lunar eclipses. I can keep moving along, but we can put a video up if we want or not. But either way, lunar eclipses, you can see the umbra of the atmosphere cross, and then you can see the shape of it. And even if the shape was caused by the shape of the moon, that would still be acknowledging that the moon is a spheroid, because it would be very hard to make that kind of shape without either the Earth or the moon being a spherical, or at least circular. But the moon wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't spherical, because of the angles of the way the light. Yeah, and this is a very fast. I've picked a very fast time lapse because I didn't want people waiting around. Here we go. So you can see the atmosphere crossing first, and that's why it's got like a haze. And then here comes Earth. And that, at the very least, proves that it's on the other side of us, which would be difficult to do if we were on a flat plane and the sun was just rotating around on top of us. It'd be awfully hard to explain how we're occluding the moon. And then, so keeping on swiftly, moon libration, number 3. A lot of flat earthers say that the moon always faces us, and what a coincidence that it never changes angle, and we never see more of it. Well, tidal locking is something that occurs in space. We have other examples of tidally locked bodies, and the moon is tidally locked to us, but it doesn't just face us perfectly. It librates throughout the season. He's moving as quick as he can here. He's doing a great job. I didn't start my own timer, so I have no idea where I am. So there. So you can, as you can see, now I will admit this is an animation. Okay, this is not an actual live image. Okay, thank you. This is an animation. This is not a live, and I will admit this fully. If you look through the credentials on it, there is animators involved in this and everything. But this can be done with real pictures, with many pictures, obviously, or that's all a time lapse really is. It's just a lot of pictures over time, really. You can do this. This is what it does. This is observable. So moving towards number 4, I believe we've got Metabunk's light angles. This is just a website, so it'll be very easy for you to load. So what this shows is that this shows the way on the bottom picture. If you scroll down a little bit there, the bottom picture shows the way light hits our planet. That is observable because all these people in different locations can look up and see that the sun is in that direction up in the sky. But the upper shot is if you took all of those points out and you stretched that out into a flat plane, all of those same points would line up like that. And those would all be different sources of direction of sunlight. And since we don't have multiple suns, we would surmise that the model that is true, that appears to be true, based on our own observations, should be true. And that it doesn't make sense if that was flat. And we've done this argument before, of course, and a lot of these are rehashed. Number 5, sir, if you don't mind. Amateur space pics. You can scroll through this pretty quick, but these are another example of telescopic. You do not have to be NASA. You can take these photographs with equipment in your own yard. He shows the equipment he uses. You too can buy it. And I hate the argument that Russian Vids made that there's some sort of code involved here. That you're, in the sense of like it's programmed to show us objects, because that's such horseshit. Because it would have to know, like a lot of these don't even have GPSs. It depends on the one you buy, but a lot of them don't know which way they're going. They have no directional detection. So, and plus code is open. It's not encrypted. So you can look in there and see there's no code that says to do that. Not to mention there's no display screens and involved in them and stuff. And these are pictures that people can take with the right equipment, of course. So 6, Neptune, this is more of an article, but it's still a fact registered in history. Neptune was discovered by math first before we knew it was actually there. And then basically they detected that using the gravitational math, showing that we know gravitational math, and using little g, which anybody knows anything about advanced math knows that if you're out by even a little, once you compound the math over a few equations, you end up being out by a lot. So this showed that the math basically was sound, and that scientists could do it on paper, look up and say, well, hold on a minute, we're missing one. And then they pointed their telescopes and they found it. So yeah, moves number 7. This is, again, no sound. Don't worry about sound. This is actually out of one of my own videos, but it's a demonstration of what flat earthers like to do. It makes a pretty good example of it. We're just going to be running the spot from the beach to the mountain just to show the altitude difference. But I got it to the right spot for you and everything. So a flat earth Fokker likes to stand on the beach and look out at Vancouver Island and say, how come I can see Vancouver Island? If we were on a globe, I shouldn't see Vancouver Island. It's so far away. But he lives there. He's either stupid or naive or just ignorant, whatever. But like, this is what he's looking at, because he doesn't see any of this that we're going over. He still doesn't see any of this. We're well on our way here, but he sees that mountain.
2 minutes.
So he looks, thank you. He looks and he sees only the top of that mountain, and you can skip a fed just a little bit there, fight if you want. Just jump to the top of the mountain. It shows the altitude of the mountain. Too far. It's all good. It's right there. It's about the mountain top there is there, 5,905 feet. So it's a mile in the air. Okay, so number 7, always looking, no, that's it. Number 8, inner planets. Okay, so these are just points, so we can move through these quick. Inner planets are the, yeah, no, that's fine. We can just move through these. Just show a beautiful picture of my beaver face there. Inner planets are only 2, that's the sun. How can that be? If they're all just lights on the dome, or if they're all just close by objects or you know, holograms or anything like that, then why is it that we can observe that the inner planets are the only ones that can eclipse the sun? That would be pretty clear evidence that they are closer to the sun and the other objects are farther away. Otherwise, why can we not duplicate this with the other planets, the outer planets? And number 9, pressure gradient proves that we don't live in a snow globe. You know, anybody knows anything about pressure knows that you'd have to have a vessel to like, how do I explain that? You would have to be the same pressure everywhere. We have a pressure gradient. So if you had a vessel, we would be 14.696 everywhere throughout. But because we don't, we get a gradient. And you say we can't prove it goes to 0, but I mean, come on. It gradients down and down and down, and you oxygen tanks the higher you go, to the point where it gets thin enough you can't run engines, and that's why you can't just fly a plane up there, because it keeps getting thinner and thinner. I mean, where does it go? Does it just stop all of a sudden? Why did it get thinner to begin with? Again, anybody who knows anything about a vessel knows that it would have to be the same pressure throughout, and it would just become 14.696 everywhere you went. We could climb the mountains. Done, I guess. Yeah, I'm out. We got like 10 seconds left.
Right,
anyway,
you had 4 seconds left.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, champion.
Can you hear it beeping? Wait, there you go.
There you go. Okay, perfect. I didn't even have a timer over here.
You didn't have time to prepare. That was pretty good.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I had
not bad.
Tossed some ideas around with some other people and brainstormed a bit, and we, you know, and I obviously, you know, yeah, we got this list together.
I'm almost convinced that it's round now, but you know what? We're going to give Hiphophippy a chance to show that it's not. So, you know, jury's still deliberating. So let me reset the timer here. All right. You ready to go, Hiphophippy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All yours.
All right. So this presentation is going to be so long. Oh, God, I don't know if I'm going to have enough time. So my proof that the Earth is flat, I'm not saying the shape is flat, because I can't go up high enough to get a picture of the full Earth, or see it at least. So my proof that the Earth is not a ball is there's no curvature. And no visible curvature, and that's the end of my presentation.
Okay. You 45 seconds in. Well, there you go. Thanks for joining us. Flat.
There's no visible proof of curvature. Neil deGrasse Tyson even says this. So yeah, I don't know what else to tell you guys. But no visible curvature.
Craig, do you want to like chime in on that real quick?
I mean, if that's your whole argument, then that's cool. We can move on to. I guess you could go on now and carry on. Take 10 minutes to try and rebut to what Brainy Beaver said. For this 10.
We can go through.
Yeah, for this 10 minutes, it's just about the points that he brought up, though. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, Steve, you want to start another timer?
Yep. Okay, there you go. Go.
Okay, so you did a video on you showed a video of the sun rotating, right?
Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Yep.
Are there any other videos that you can corroborate with that?
I'm sure if I look that there are, because he's not the only person that owns that telescope. I mean, that telescope is literally only designed to look at the sun. So, I mean, that's fine. We're going to get into saying I can't corroborate it, but I mean, you're already going in the direction of it's fake because you can't prove that it was taken properly.
No,
So
I'm just saying I've never seen the sun spin, so I don't know. But also, I don't think looking up at the sun. Well, I don't think looking up at the sun actually proves that the Earth is a ball, because you're looking up at the sky. You're not there. I mean, there's no visible curvature, so that means that the Earth is not a ball.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Say that again.
So I said looking up at the sky has no bearing on the land that we stand on. So there's no visible curvature. I mean, I don't know how looking up at the sun proves that the Earth is a ball.
Okay, I got a question for you. So you can't see the curve, and therefore you don't believe it exists. And I think I've heard you use the argument before that that our senses are, basically we need to rely on our senses more. Is this correct?
Well, I don't know if we can totally rely on our senses. I mean, it's hard for me to see things. Like I have bad eyesight, but in my right eye.
Well,
I know I can't see.
Looking at the sun will give you bad eyesight. I can promise you that. See, this telescope he has, don't go out and just pick up a telescope and point it at the sun. You will have no eyesight. This telescope that he has is like $4,000 or $5,000, and it's designed only to look at the sun. If you go to look at anything else in the sky, it's got lenses in it that are made to reduce the sunlight so it doesn't destroy your retina. Because you need that, right? You need to use like a welding glass style glass. That's why welders have helmets that dim. Well, nowadays they automatically dim, but back in the day they just would flip down the welding visor to make sure that the ultra bright light coming off the weld didn't sear out their eyeballs. But so the reason you haven't seen the sun rotate is because you're looking at a giant, light that you can't see it rotate. It just looks like an orb in the sky. I mean, you're correct at that. But this, as he's showing here, the sun rotates. This is as it said, they put together with a bunch of images, but it doesn't change the fact that it shows that it rotates. And if we get into the whole thing of like, can we prove that these are real images? I can't, right? Let's face it. But come on.
Okay.
It's real because it looks so fake, just like Elon Musk says.
Yeah. Well,
sorry. I had to.
That picture could be faked. So, it's just an image. But like I said, looking up at the sun doesn't really prove that the Earth is a sphere. So,
okay, but
we can move on to the next point.
We can, but I do want to tag one more thing before that. So, just staying on that note, I have a telescope. It doesn't. It can track objects, but you have to like train it on where it is on the globe because it doesn't have a GPS or anything like that. And so, if you put your hand in front of it, it doesn't keep showing Jupiter, it shows your hand. So the thing that I want to ask is that, just to keep this lively, is that if every other object you can see out there is circular and spherical, some of them we can only see one side of, but other ones we can clearly see that they rotate because they have all sides. So the thing is, like, I just need to, I want to ask this question before I go further, just so I know. Are you hip-hop-hippie religious? And I don't mean this as a negative. I don't want to knock religion. I try to stay away from knocking religion. But I want to know if you are religious, because the thing that I'm getting towards is that in order to look out there and see all of the objects around you are round and circular, globular, whatever the word you want to use, and rotating, all that, but then to look in here and say, no, we definitely live in a terrarium. You have to believe almost in a higher power or a God figure, because otherwise it doesn't make a lot of sense. What makes us so special? Why is Earth now the object that is different? If you cut open 100 chests on different animals and all the blood was red every time, would you look at your own chest, look down and go, it's got to be purple. It's got to be purple. There's no way that's red in there. It's purple, right? No, it's probably going to be red, right? Deduction, right? I mean, you look at something, you go, huh, everything is red. I bet you this one's red too. Serial killer born.
Well,
done. Find out
I mean, that would make sense, you know? I mean, from your point of view, because you think you live on a ball. So you think, oh, because those are spheres or they look like spheres, I must live on a sphere. But that doesn't mean you live on a sphere.
You still didn't answer my question. I want to know if you are religious, because that's going to weigh heavily into the direction that I think you're coming from. It's not a negative. I don't mean it as a negative.
No, I wouldn't really say. I guess I might be religious. Like, I believe there's a God. Like, do I know who God is? Do I know what God, you know, what he looks like, where he resides? No, I don't know. I don't, you know, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Does it influence
what happens?
Does it influence your idea behind?
No, actually, no, it didn't. I was an atheist when I believed in the globe. I just believed like nothing, you know, I'm just a speck on a freaking a ball in an infinite universe, and you know, my life really has no meaning. You know?
Okay, so perfect. Actually, you fell right into one of the things I wanted to talk about. That is 100%. Thank you very much. One of the things I want to ask you is that statement right there. I hear that repeatedly from most flat earthers, and usually it's the religious ones. I'll give you that. That's fine. But it starts from a position of insignificance. And what I want to ask you is, why is it so terrifying to you that you are a speck in the middle of nothingness? Because I believe I'm a speck in the middle of nothingness. And is that slightly frightening? I mean, I guess in some sort of way. It's really not changing the fact that when I get out in the bed in the morning, I still have to, you know, hobble over to my coffee machine and stuff. So I guess I would argue that at the end of the day, it doesn't really affect me. I just kind of like go, huh, I guess maybe I'm nothing. And that's fantastic. Moving on, right? But for you guys, it just seems to be like that, like, because you nailed it. It's like that is the point of the problem. Like, you just don't want to feel like you're not important. And I mean, there's like 7 billion of us. I mean, I hate to tell you, both of us are not important. There's so many people that you and I are not important. Unless you cure AIDS and I cure leukemia or like invent some sort of device that solves brain cancer or save thousands of children from a disease that just started, whatever. Neither one of us is going to be remembered for anything. We're going to vanish from existence like we didn't even exist. So, I mean, you are insignificant. So why would it matter that you're even that much more insignificant? And I mean this from a friendly position. Like, I'm putting myself beside you. I'm not saying you, the flat earther, are insignificant. I'm saying we're all insignificant. Everybody out there in the chat, I mean, honestly, we're all insignificant, right? I mean, how many of you think that you're important enough to be important, to say quote unquote important? Steve, are you important?
I'm important.
Fuck,
I'm important
I
to my
doubted.
daughter.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. We have people.
So.
We have people we are important.
I'd like to think so.
So
it's relative
stuff.
But
they are also.
I'm important to Craig.
Yeah. Sort of. And they're going. And they're going to vanish.
Who would else? Who would else big spoon with him? Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, so I know I went on a bit of a monologue, but that's kind of like, you kind of nailed one of the things I have written down on my paper in front of me. Insignificance. Why are you so scared? It's right there. And you get it.
Well, are you a psychologist? Because how do you know I'm scared?
Well, I don't have to be.
Even if
I don't have to be a psychologist.
Even if I thought I was insignificant, what do you think? No, I'm not saying I was scared that I was insignificant. I
think everybody in the conversation
could. I am insignificant.
Yeah, I know.
No, yeah, but why would I wasn't scared or anything, you know. Okay. I wasn't scared. I looked at it every day. It was like, you know, it's just, it is what it is, and it's just, you know, when I die, I die. You know, like it never scared me. So I don't know why you would think like I felt bad for feeling insignificant, or that I want to feel more significant with Flat Earth. And it's,
do you feel more significant now that you're part of Flat Earth? Like, because that statement, then what changed? Do you feel more significant than you did, or because you live in a snow globe, or what made a difference?
We'll see. You keep saying snow globe. All Flat Earthers have like a different. Well, that's your version of Flat Earth. That's what you're putting on me.
Terrarium. We can put a different shape on it.
Yeah, but I never said anything about a terrarium. I have never once said anything about a dome.
I've watched you debate people and talk about not being able to have a vacuum beside pressure. So, the thing is, it's the same Flat Earth thing. You guys are all over the map. I mean, what do you believe today?
We'll see. That's the problem. Is I don't know what it looks like. I feel like I'm in a container, because you can't have air pressure without a container. So of course you're gonna be in a container. But what does the container look like? What is it? I don't know. I have no idea. It could be a dome. It could be something else. I have no idea.
Okay, you're in an oil bucket. It doesn't change the equation at all. It's still the snow globe was just a reference at living in something that's got a container over it. We don't observe containers anywhere else, so it goes right back into what makes Earth so special. So if you don't, and because I'm going to tell you right now, most of the people that you're watching, the Eric Dubays and the Nathan Oakleys, or the Nathan Thompson, I don't know shit about what Nathan Oakley believes, but Nathan Thompson and these people, they're highly religious people. So, I mean, that's great that you're following them and you say that you're not religious, but the merits that you're following are based off of the fact that they are extremely religious and they're reading parts of the text and taking them out of context, potentially. Because let's face it, the Bible can be taken out of context because it's kind of, also all over the place.
Well, religious how?
Because you're not religious. Well, come on, Nathan Thompson. Half his videos are stopping on the side of the road to tell church functions they live on a flat plane. I mean, Jesus, if he's not religious, who is? He literally preaches.
No, that's him.
I mean, half of these people are religious.
But you're talking about Eric Dubay. Eric Dubay doesn't believe in Jesus. He's not. He doesn't believe in Jesus.
That's fair enough. And I said Eric Dubay, and maybe I'm wrong about him, but Nathan Thompson and I didn't make a list of them, but I mean, Jesus, everybody who's watched these knows that there's quite a list of, Dan Pratt, not that he knows anything about anything. He just sits in his garage, but still, Dan Pratt, all those guys. I mean, what's that guy that walks around? He's got the hat on. There's tons of them. He walks, I think he does, I don't know. He's got there's so many. I've got 200 subscriptions in my subscription list, and they're all Flat Earth channels. I mean, how many? How many does there need to be? But I'm telling you, most of those are religious.
There's going to be more. There's going to be more because this is not going away because there is no visible creature. So
I really hope there's way more.
Talk about that, Brainy.
Anyways, but
he says there's no visible curvature. Have you got any evidence that there is?
I can get to his points, his other points as well. I mean, he talks about Neptune. It's the same thing. You're looking at lights in the sky. You're looking at objects in the sky. It has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth.
So explain to me how a light in the sky can occlude the sun. Because Mercury and Venus can eclipse the sun during transit. So, and we can observe it. There's pictures. You can do it yourself. You just got to wait for a transit. You got to look up when the next transit is and do it yourself. But these are observable things. So the problem is that lights can't, if it's just like a hologram, I said this already. I mean, if it's a light or a hologram, it can't really occlude the sun, can it? So clearly it's some sort of solid object out there. And again, the outer planets can't seem to do the same thing. So this would confirm that, I mean, I guess those ones aren't between us. And then the other thing is, it would also show that that sun is not local, because why can these two objects get in between us?
Well,
and the other one's
because you're assuming. Well, it's because you're assuming that they're super far away, with infinite distances between them. But when was the last time a transit of Mercury or Venus happened?
It wasn't one not that long ago. I mean, they're every 100 years or 50 years, depending. Mercury's a lot quicker because I think it orbits a lot faster, but it also has to have us in the right spot, I think, because, I mean, that's the thing. You got to understand what's going on there. Everybody's circling, and we're all kind of tilted a little bit, and We all got to line up. So that's why it's always been part of religion and tapestries, and people, cultures have built festivals around it because, like it's always a big deal, like, oh, everybody look, the crossing of this and that, and because they're rare. Yeah. But that doesn't prove anything. It just proves it's rare because space is big and things are far away. I mean, because they take so long.
Well,
I mean,
you assume these things.
You could have the same.
Well, you assume this stuff.
I mean, you assume that it's a hologram because you think the Earth is flat. We can start on the same plane and keep going from here.
It's a hologram. That's a straw man. I never said it was a hologram.
Okay, but you're doing the same thing by saying I didn't say that, and you won't apply. So what is it then? Because I know what it is, but you now are telling me you don't know what it is. I mean, that's the thing.
Lights in the sky. I mean, you can look at them. That's all I know.
Okay, so explain. Okay, so about Neptune. Since we're on Neptune, let's stay on Neptune. We won't get too far off subject. I mean, why don't we do this? Why, if gravity is something that doesn't exist and it's just uppity and downity, and buoyancy and density, then why were we able to use math that has little g, the gravitational constant, or is it big G in that case? There's a gravitational constant, and then there's Earth's gravitational constant. But basically, we were able to detect that based on what we were looking at out in space with our telescopes and what we were looking at on our papers of math. And we were like, something's not right here because these aren't orbiting properly. And then that's what I meant by mathematically we were able to detect it. So we did it all on a blackboard. They sat back, they looked at it, kind of rubbed their chin and went, something's not right here. And then they went, well, I mean, based on this, we should point our telescopes over here. And, I'm sure it wasn't like they turned in that direction and nailed it right on the spot, but they essentially calculated its orbital plane, and then they started looking for it, and then boom, there it was, right along the path they calculated. And now it's a logged object, and it's one of those other lights in the sky that you're talking about. But we still calculated it using gravity. So if gravity doesn't have anything to do with it, then how did we calculate the math involving gravity? Because anybody who knows anything about math, and I don't know that you've done a lot of math, Hiphophippy. I'm not saying you haven't, but I don't know that you have. But anybody who's done a lot of math, when I went to school, I did pages. One equation for something was like 3 pages of long paper. In my exam, I was asking for extra paper to fill out the math. And when you got math and you take an equation and you calculate it and use it in another equation, the farther you go into that rabbit hole, the more off you are. Because the math is all wrong. So you're compounding wrong with wrong with wrong. And so if they can't just throw gravity into the equation and say, here, we'll just toss that in there, it doesn't matter, we'll find it anyways. Because basically they would have been pointing in the wrong directions, they would have been looking, and they would have went, I guess it doesn't exist. But instead they used this gravitational constant that they've calculated and that we use in everything we do around us. You may not do it yourself, but I mean, a lot of the things in your world are engineered like that. Computers that are calculating inertia, calculations, all that kind of stuff. I mean, even the physics in video games is based around gravitational constant because they want it to look real. So they tell the computer to calculate it based on, the downward pull is like this at this acceleration rate. So basically when the object goes up, it also kind of comes back down naturally. And it does it the way you would expect it to do it because that's what your brain expects to see. And that's how we get wicked awesome battles in Modern Warfare and stuff, I guess. I don't play that these days, but I used to play shooters. But I mean, how with the math?
I got Kerbal Space Program now.
I fucking love Kerbal. I have 4,000 hours.
I heard it's really good. I heard it's really good.
Number 2 is going to be so just so everybody knows, number 2, go watch the trailer if you haven't. And they're going to be adding multiplayer and future drives, other solar systems. Oh, don't worry. Squad, the original makers who are actually a media company, they are working on number 1 still into the future. And they're just helping with number 2. And then number 2's been left to actual game companies this time because they kind of bumbled through the first one. They made a good game, though. Anyways,
yeah, no, it's really good, and I look forward to playing it. Yeah. So to the debate, let me ask you on that Kerbal Space Program or any other program that you deal with to kind of foster this along. If the things that we know about physics didn't work, how would they therefore work in these programs then? I mean, as he pointed out, these are mathematical things. I mean, Craig's got math on his shirt there. When they put these numbers in, how is it they work for the models, but they wouldn't work in real life?
What are these models?
Well, any model, like Okay, so when they build a fair ride, okay, so they build a ride where they're gonna pick you up and drop you, and you slingshot towards the ground. Do you think they just, well, I mean, that'll be enough resistance, you know, they won't hit the ground. They calculate it. They have like, okay, there's resistance, there's this, there's that. How much are the people gonna weigh? That's why when you go to a ride, they're like, whoa, buddy, you're kind of chunky, you know, like they won't let you on that thing because the engineers who built it, they're like, fuck it, that guy's too heavy. He's not going to stop in time. And they used math, and that math will have G in it, or little g in the case of Earth. So how do they do that? The math would be wrong. So why aren't there more people hitting the ground or just not having a thrilling ride when they bounce up at the top a little bit?
Well, have you built a merry-go-round? Have you designed a merry-go-round? Have you designed anything like that to where you would use those calculations?
Not to where I'd use the calculations. I built a honey extractor, fucking attach a drill to the top, watch that bitch spin. But that's the closest thing to a merry-go-round I built. Makes the honey go merry-go-round.
Well, what about the government documents with linear aircraft models? They don't even take gravity into account.
I mean, when you talk about the linear aircraft models, are you talking about when they talk about how the like the flight simulator models when they talk about calculating for flight simulator training? Because I know I've seen with a thing where they found the document where it says, okay, so I got a question for you. If you're flying a calculated like a fake airplane, okay, so let's say you're a programmer and you're, you know, and remember, the government's frugal. They don't want to spend money. So you got two programmers, right? And the boss comes in and says, "Okay, right, I need you guys to build me a simulating program, okay? And I need it cheap, okay? I need this cheap. I want it to work. It's got to simulate flying an aircraft, okay? So the two programs get to go. He doesn't know it. They don't know it, but they're racing. And the one on the right, he builds a simulation where they can see as far as you'd typically see in an aircraft because of, you know, atmospheric interference and moisture and whatnot and everything. And you can see everything that you would see. You can see the cockpit. You can see out the windows. If you come into a landing, you can see the runway in front of you and all of that. Okay, but the guy on the left, he's still at his desk, and the boss has come in and he says, well, you know, Johnson's got his work on my table. Like, what's going on here? And he's leaned up, he's stressed out, his hair's all stretched out, and he's like, well, I'm still trying to do all of the programming of the globe. You know, like it's doable, right? I mean, they go play Kerbal Space Program. Anybody who says they don't program water in a sphere can fuck right off. Because, I mean, they program everything in that game. It's all globular. And so that's an example. But, okay, so he's not building Kerbal Space Program. They just want a fucking flight simulator that the guy can sit in the cockpit and look out the windows. And so he's still sitting at his desk, and he's working away, and he's not done. The budget's way over. Man, Billy there's fired. Johnson just got a promotion. Because that's just not how it works. They don't just go, well, fuck it. We don't need them to see the other side of the planet, but let's calculate Tokyo while we're over here in New York City, because that's what we do with things. We just have the computer run pointless programs that have nothing to do with anything. And that's the way that you also keep computers really fast and things sporty, right? I mean, that's the thing. You're bogging the system down. You're not thinking about the fact that of course they calculate on a flat plane, because it doesn't fucking matter if the Earth curves 5 miles in front of you, because you're not flying 5 miles in front of you. You're flying right there where you are. You go straight down, it's still straight down. It's 90 degrees below you, like straight perpendicular to you. So, I mean, the problem is that calculating the rest of that is a waste of your time. You just calculate down. You say, hey, the plane is this heavy, and it's going to be pulled down like this, and this is how the wind's going to affect it. Right? I mean, let's face it.
Well, if you really want to talk about gravity, we'll just talk about how it's metaphysics. It's not real. It's the only reason why you think it's a force is because you think you live on a spinning ball. But again, there's no visible curvature. So, I mean, anybody,
okay.
You guys. So, I mean, am I right? Am I right? Is there no visible curvature?
No.
Okay, so what's okay? So I gotta. Okay,
yeah,
so
well, he
then,
asked.
Okay,
no, you're not right.
Okay, so what's a lunar eclipse?
It's
simple. What's a lunar eclipse? Why is there a curve on that thing? I mean, what explains that?
Well,
And then why would there be a lunar eclipse to begin with? How did the sun get to the other side? Or are you going to say that it's not the Earth passing between them?
Well, I mean, you guys think it's a shadow, okay? That's
so
what
it's
you guys
gods,
think, right? You think it's your shadow.
It's demons.
No,
did anybody see? Remember Patrick Swayze in Ghost, where those shadows came and sucked him down?
Yeah.
Oh, that was funny. Right?
Maybe
the moon's being sucked down by Patrick Swayze.
I'm just trying to make sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
You think? I'm just trying to make sure that you think it's the Earth's shadow, right?
Well, of course it is. What the fuck else would it be? I mean, sorry. I'll keep the swears down because I don't want this. Honestly, we're having a good conversation, and I like where it's going right now.
Well, how do you know?
I don't want to sound angry.
No, how do you know it's the Earth's shadow if you're not on the moon to see the silhouette of the Earth from the sun? How do you know that?
No, that's fair. But I mean, this is another example of like, okay, so tell me what it would be then. So is it gods? Is it the goddess Ra of sun blocking out because we're not allowed to have moon that night? What happened?
I don't know.
But that's so ridiculous. So we have tangible answers to this, and your answer is, but I just don't, because your answer is I don't believe it, so therefore not true.
You have answers. You have answers on the assumption that the Earth is a ball, but if there is no visible curvature, then all those assumptions, all those theories go out the window.
Yeah, sure, but we're still going. But then you have no deduction skills. I mean, when you were a child, I mean, my little girl can figure out that when she touches herself, it's fucking hot. You know, or like touches something like it's fucking hot somewhere. Like, and then if she goes to touch it again, she can feel the heat. So she deduces that when she feels warmth, that maybe that's not a good thing to touch. Are you telling me you walk around putting your hand on hot objects because, I mean, I don't fucking know that it's not hot. I want to feel it for myself. I mean, this is kind of ridiculous to think that you just, I mean, what else do you do that with? I mean, that's why IKEA comes with just images to assemble things, because most people can go, well, it shows the guy holding a fucking screwdriver and it points. So, I mean, I think I should tack it to the wall because clearly it's showing me putting together this leg down here and they mean bash it through that wall over there. I mean, that's deduction. You look at something, you infer. I mean, right?
Well,
I mean, come on. You can't figure
that's
out
fine.
how...
You can do that. No, you can do that.
So,
you can do that. But the fact is, there's no visible curvature. So it's not.
Okay, well then what is?
It's not.
But then why
shadow?
Okay, so where? So then why does the lunar eclipse line up perfectly with evening time? Did the moon just get tired and decide to go away for a couple minutes and, you know, in a nice circular figure? It's kind of crazy. Isn't it? I mean,
what?
That's what I mean. Like, where are you going? Like, where? Like. Well, I'm kind of making fun of you a little bit. I mean, but I'm doing it friendly. I'm saying, like, did the moon get sleepy and go bedtime for a bit? Like, what? And the thing is, it's so interesting that the timing is like, you know, we know about how long in our model it takes to get to the other side, and then that's so cool that this circular shadow came along and covered up the eclipse. It covered up the moon and caused this eclipse. That's so cool.
Well, how do you
why would it work?
How do you explain a selenium? Selenium. However the fuck you say that. It's where the sun is above the horizon. Because the only way the lunar eclipse could happen is if the Earth, Sun, and Moon are in perfect syzygy. They have to be in perfect syzygy.
Okay. You can only do that from high locations, is my understanding, if I'm not correct. Because you have to be elevated to be able to do that, because it's the only way you can get the angle to be able to see the one full and the other one. Because you're right. Because, you know, how do you do that? But I can't remember. I'd have to look that up again. But I do remember looking it up at the time.
Solar meridian?
He's talking about they call it a selenial moon or something. I think I know what he's talking about here. I mean, we can try to bring that up and talk about it.
Okay. It's when the sun is above the horizon. A selenium. I think that's how they call it.
A selenium moon. Yeah, selenium.
But it's when the sun is above the horizon during a lunar eclipse. And the sun is supposed to be in exact syzygy with the Earth and the Moon.
If I remember correctly, you can only If I remember correctly, you can only ever see it you can only ever see part of the eclipse though, because it sinks down below the horizon before the full eclipse happens, indicating that you are, and I believe you can also only see it from really elevated locations like mountaintops and stuff, or just elevated locations, because what you're doing is if you picture yourself standing on the top of an orange, but you're elevated a little bit, you're cutting the angle. So you're high and you're looking, I'm high right now, but I mean, we're talking about a different kind of high, but so you're up and you're looking down, and you're actually looking down over the top of the like those, the round Earth. And then on the other side, when you look over, you're looking down as well, and you're seeing the other side. So that's why you can only see the start of it. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it disappears before you can see the end of it, because you're on the end of it. Is how I think it works, if I remember correctly.
Okay, well, I recommend people go check it out.
Okay. But I remember there's a perfectly good answer. I mean, all you'd have to do is search it, and you can see there was graphs showing up. If I remember correctly, there's like a person on a mountaintop, and it's showing the angle you're looking at. I mean, it's kind of just ignorance that you would take that as a... So, okay, so I got a question for you. You've never seen one, have you? How do you know that's real?
It's been documented.
Whoa! Oh, that's my shit.
But I will agree. I haven't seen it. So it could not. It might not be. It might not be legit. It might not be legit. So I'll admit that. I haven't seen it.
I'm willing to bet you it is legit. I'm willing to bet you it is legit, because it's just not something they feel like making up, I bet. And the reason I think it's legit is because I've seen the answer to it, and I can't remember what it is right now. Fair enough. I didn't study that over the course of the last day when I was doing a little bit of, brushing up on my physics a bit here for the debate. But yeah, I'd have to look that one up. I feel like it's a good video now. It's a good point. I'll write that down. So, okay, well here, let's why don't we pick another point here we can go after? Oh shit, I don't want to do pressure gradient. Fuck that.
So how come you supposedly can see ships going over the horizon at sea level, but when you get in a plane,
don't say it.
You can't see any curvature at all? You would be able to see that curvature.
That hurt my brain.
Well, the fact that
that's kind of a contradiction with you guys.
Okay,
is you guys say that you can see it at sea level, but then when you go high in the sky, you can't see it at all.
Okay, so I got a question for you. You do you have like a space beside you, like you're in a room where you can look out over your floor a little bit, maybe over 10 feet or something? Just kind of try to picture a flat space. So okay, so imagine you're an ant. Okay? Now you look out, and I know you've heard this before, but just bear with me. Okay? Just stay with me for a minute. Okay, so you look out, and first of all, if it was a flat plane, it would keep elevating, it would keep coming up the way that would work. Because if you look into the distance, if you put your, I don't expect you to do this right now. If you put your eye near the floor and you look down, you're going to find your floor just keeps going up and up and up. And if that space just kept going, you're going to find it goes up until the point where it's above your eye level. Whereas, as a curvature, when you stand there and you look out, of course it looks flat. You're so small. We're not going to get into that right this second, but it drops away. So that's why you don't see it keep coming up, because it does taper off and disappear down. And again, that's why the ships disappear and whatnot, and you can't see the bottoms of mountains. If you could show me somebody playing on the beach, on the shoreline of that mountain, then that would be one thing. But what was the original point there? I want to get back on target. There was some point I was going to make. You started on, was your question basically?
So you're saying that you can see ships go over the curvature at sea level, but you can't see.
Okay, so hold on.
You can't see a curve over the when you're on an airplane.
Okay. Well, why do you not see even further on an airplane then? Like, you can still only see so far. It doesn't. Again, an airplane, it doesn't keep coming up. It, like the ground, I mean, without a visual representation, this is kind of really hard to demonstrate. But okay, I'll get it on a different point. Okay, so you're looking out at an object in the distance, and you guys claim that with zoom, you can bring an object back in, right? Like, because
I never said
it's
that.
Just what
I never said that.
Okay, well, why can't you then? Because I can see objects up on that dome, or I mean, for instance, the sun. How far away? Okay, so an airplane flies at 37,000 feet, you know, 40,000 feet. Okay, so that's 50 something, about 6,000 feet to a mile. 12, 2, 4, 6. I mean, so you're looking at 6 or 7 miles maybe of altitude on an airplane. Okay, so you can't see 6 or 7 miles, but you can see an airplane 6 or 7 miles up. So why can I see an airplane 6 or 7 miles away, but I can't see a ship that's, can you see 6 or 7 miles? I think it's like, it's at, maybe it's 13 miles that the cutoff is. You start missing the bottom anyways.
It's because of perspective. It's because of perspective.
So why is the perspective? Is it because you're low to the ground?
Yep.
And tiny and insignificant?
Well, it doesn't make you insignificant. The Earth is obviously huge, but you can't see the curve when you go on the airplane. So if you're seeing it at sea level, you should be able to see it when you go on an airplane. Why don't you see it when you're on an airplane?
Because the airplane's not even flying like 10%. It's maybe only 10% up in the atmosphere. I mean, Jesus, it's...
But you can see it at sea level.
It's 70. Can't remember if this is kilometers and miles. It's 70.
But you guys say you can see the curve at sea level. You're going higher, you still see more of the curve.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that because the curve's still the same the higher you go. It doesn't change the curve. You just change your angle on it. Is the thing. So it's not gonna change the fact that it's curved.
The curve is the curve of the Earth. The curve is the curve of the Earth. Right when you rise, that point is going to stay there. It's the curve. It's the physical curve.
Okay.
As you rise, we're going to see more of the curve.
All right. Can I ask you? You said that it was perspective. Could you, Hiphophippy, could you define what perspective is for Brainy Beaver, so I know that you guys are talking about the same thing?
Sure. Let me just look up a definition real quick.
Well, no, I'd like to hear your definition.
Just off the top of your head. Yeah, just
it's like a perspective drawing, where you use lines, use a horizon, and on linear perspective drawings, and use parallel lines that converge at a vanishing point, and things get smaller as they go farther towards the horizon.
See,
okay.
That's what it is. It's linear perspective. That's the way we see the world.
Brainy?
I spaced out, to be honest.
It's stipulative.
I don't mean that in an offensive way, like I'm so stupid I spaced out. I mean I literally spaced out a little bit. But I don't even know how to counter the argument of it just doesn't look curved, because you're so small and why can I not see, okay, so again, why can I see objects that are, okay, so like a mountaintop, I can look out and I can see, they love to do this, I can see the mountains, these are so much further than I should see, but I can't see the ground, and the mountaintop is actually further away by kilometers than the bottom of the mountain in a lot of cases, and so I can see the further object, but I can't bring the bottom of the mountain that is actually closer into view, and I just don't understand why, if the Earth is flat, I'd have a problem doing that. Especially on like for instance, you want to take atmosphere out of the equation. At night, you can see a lot further, and then even in Canada in the winter, you don't really get a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, so it's pretty crisp out there. You can see really well. That's why they put observatories at the tops of mountains and stuff, because the air is dry and it's thinner up there. There's less atmosphere. So,
well, because we have an eyeball, a lens to our eyeball, we have angular resolution problems. Same with cameras, same with everything. So what's hiding the bottoms of those mountains is the limited viewing angle. I have a video if you want to see.
Okay, but why can I see the top of the mountain? It's farther away. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Just send me the link.
Yeah, show them. Send them the link. This would be fun.
Okay. This is from a YouTuber named Jenna Fredo, who did an observation over Lake Ontario and debunked the globe. But this is a video showing what we see. We see what we're going to see is her on a racetrack, on a jogging track. She puts a level on the track to show you that it's level, and she walks a distance away with her camera, and as she lowers her camera, the bottom of the level disappears on the level track. So here we go. Give me 1 second. All right. I just sent it over.
Thank you.
It's a short video.
I'm just getting that up. Give me 2 secs.
But numerous YouTubers have made videos like this to show that the bottoms of objects can be obstructed on a flat plane, on something that's flat, because of the limited viewing angle and the angular resolution of the lens that we're looking through.
So talk us through what we're seeing.
So that's the level. As you can see, it's kind of distorted because the humidity and it's probably a hot day. But as she raises her camera, you will see the whole level.
This is fantastic, actually. You should go back and pause it a little bit. I really love this one. This is really good.
All right, just tell me where to pause it.
Can you explain it a little bit
anywhere
more? I'm not quite seeing what we're trying to.
Okay, let's let him explain it a little bit more. So what are you trying to?
Let him explain it again.
Right there, you can see the full level, from top to bottom. And at the beginning of the video, she's at the bottom, or she'll lower the camera, and you won't be able to see the bottom of the level. The bottom is compressed, or it looks like it has disappeared. That's the problem with our observations and atmospheric conditions. It makes boats appear to go over a curve when it's not a curve at all.
But that
why does a boat keep
flat? Oh, right.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to add is, why does a boat? Okay, so that's okay, fair enough. Okay, so the boat gets farther away, and I've done this on one of my videos. I think other people have done this too. Can you explain to me? Okay, so if an object is leaving into the distance, can you explain to me why a ship will it decrease in vertical exposed amount of ship by something like 50 or 60%, while the width of the object will only reduce by something in the range of 10 to 20%. Do objects in your world shrink height-wise, not width-wise, as they get farther away linearly because of your perspective, or do they actually just continuously shrink into a smaller object? I think it's really interesting that there's some sort of sea monster that's gobbling up the bottom of the ship and making it shrink vertically, like it's somehow like sinking into the ocean, apparently. And why is this monster not gobbling up the sides of the ship and making it shrink widthwise into the distance as it gets farther away? I mean, if it is just simply your angular perspective.
I just want to say one thing. The point where I've paused it here, you see that track's not flat, right? You can.
That's what I was saying. I thought the same thing. Yeah, I was questioning that as well.
I mean, you can literally see the bumps in the white. I mean, I know it's a bit distorted because
I was letting him have it.
I mean,
I was letting him have it.
It was killing me that you didn't say that, and the audience is literally screaming it in the chat.
I'm not watching it because I was trying to make sure this is a one-on-one.
Flat.
Oh, we got people watching. Is this live?
Just so you know, Hiphophippy, I'm actually
7 people watching. Thank you.
I'm actually not in the.
That's 6 more than I usually get.
Hey, everybody go subscribe to Brainy Beaver.
Yeah,
you're all in here. But don't get me wrong, this is I don't even know what I was going to fucking say now. Anyways, whatever. Moving forward. Oh, yeah, well, I'm not watching the debate, so just so you know, like, or watching the live stream chat, so just so anybody knows, if you're trying to drop me hints, I'm, it's actually mono a mono here. Nobody's talking in my right ear like CSI
They're not
style.
trying to help you.
They
Yeah,
probably.
well-
I keep a pretty robust fan base. They like to poke fun.
I know you guys say like the track isn't flat, but there's other observations that people have done, such as Jose G. Gonzalez or whatever the hell his name is. He's done this exact thing in a warehouse where, well, it seems to be a warehouse, and the floor is flat, dude. It's flat.
Isn't he
And the same
isn't he
thing
the one that
happened.
turned into a globe
Yeah.
believer though?
Yeah,
Is that
Jeranism
not the
gave
guy
him
that's now not?
Jeranism gave him a
Yeah.
P900, which he then used to prove that the Earth was a globe.
And now
Yeah,
he's
well,
not even
I'm-
on that team.
But that doesn't matter because there's been a lot of people who have done that observation and they're flat earthers. So it's
Well, you just
I just
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of mental illness. It's true because mental illness is very predominant in our society these days.
Well, I could say the same about you. I mean, you guys. Seem
Oh,
to
you
be one
probably
fucking
could. I mean,
giant
if you watch,
fucking
hey,
ball.
Hiphophippy, if you watch my videos, you probably could say that about me.
Brain, let me ask you: do you think that in a DSM-6, that flat Earth might be considered to be a mental illness?
DSM-6, I don't know what the fuck that is.
Well, the next one after we have the DSM-5 now, so the next one would be the DSM-6, I would imagine, right?
Still don't know what we're talking about.
Oh, it's the DSM is the American Psychiatric Association's diagnostic of statistical manual of mental disorders.
Oh, see,
It's a book that tells people. It's a book about mental disorders. I have the DSM-3 here. I don't have.
Oh, okay, I
But it's
see.
the diagnostic
I got you.
and physical manual of mental disorders.
I get it.
Yeah,
Just like a Harrier,
So do you think
like,
under-
like a jet right over my head. Sorry, go ahead.
it's a
Wait,
book
what?
that doctors use to diagnose mental illness from the American Psychiatric Association, the
Yeah,
APA. Do you think that the next edition, that flat Earth might become a mental disorder?
I read an article that said that life insurance companies or like health insurance companies in America have thought about putting it on their questionnaire. Do you think the Earth is flat? They're concerned about having to pay for mental health problems later, and not having upped your premium.
That's a fair
little bit
question to
along the
ask,
way.
actually. I think. Should it
Well,
be
I heard
health
they were
assessment?
thinking about asking it because they were at the very like things like, do you believe in these certain conspiracies and stuff? So I mean, whatever. That doesn't mean that they're
Right,
I'll get
so,
to hip hop. That
like,
doesn't mean anything. So
We're saying that it
Well, I
might
know
be
it doesn't mean anything.
recognized
I know
that
I'm
flat
saying.
earthers believing the Earth flat could be a mental illness. So Hiphophippy, do you think that people that think the Earth is the globe could possibly be suffering from some kind of mental illness?
I don't really think it's a mental illness. I think it's more just brainwashing. That's pretty much what it is. I mean, because I think you guys are normal people. I think you guys are pretty sane. You've just been brainwashed, and that's just.
I mean, my wife.
It's sad, man. It really is. Huh?
My wife wouldn't say I'm sane.
What's the brainwashing, if I can ask? I'm kind of curious. What's actually the brainwashing? I mean, it seems like everybody here has some maths. Maths is pretty objective. You can't really be brainwashed to say, "Oh, hey." Well, actually, unless you watch, what is it? 1984? What movie was it when they would 2 + 2 = 5? I'm trying to think here. The state was trying to get him to say. The state was trying to convince him that 2 + 2 = 5 to try to have him conform to the state. Was it 1984 or was it Citizen X? I don't remember. Somebody in the live chat will get it. But anyways, it's objective. So when we say that 1 + 1 = 2, that's not brainwashing. When we say there's a formula for gravity, that's not brainwashing. But by the way, in general relativity, it's not a force. But when you look at the metric tensor equations, these equations work and they model what we'd expect to see something fall in a gravitational field. So how is that, I'm curious, indoctrination? When we can actually see that these formulas do actually work to model what we would predict if I drop something. It was 1984.
Well,
okay. Yeah. 1984.
Well,
Thank you.
just because you drop something doesn't mean there's a fucking force pulling you down, dude. I don't understand what you're trying to say. Like math is not a causal
Well, it's
mechanism.
not a force.
Math,
Well, if I can correct you real quick,
gravity is
in
a
general
force.
relativity, well, it is a force in Newtonian. It's a not for no force in general relativity. So it depends on what framework you're working from. If you're just dealing with Newtonian mechanics, it's a force, but in relativity, it's not a force. So you have to.
You do know
distinguish.
that you will be on Nathan Oakley's show in the next week or so with a clip of you saying gravity isn't a force, right?
fine. It's correct. It's not a force. It's
Let's
not a
go
force
George
in
Musker
VR.
interview.
Yeah.
Well, both
A flat earther taking me out of
theories.
context. Wow, that never happens. Shocker.
Both theories are just metaphysics. I mean, gravity is your god in your religion.
Right.
That's
right. Let me just correct you on something. When you say both theories, Newton didn't have a theory of gravity. Newton developed the law of gravitational attraction, which was purely based on his observations of what was happening. He then created a mathematical equation to describe what was happening. And that mathematical equation can be modeled out to accurately predict so much about the world that we understand. It wasn't ever a theory. He didn't ever say that he had a theory of gravity. He wanted to be kept away from the theory side of it because he, according to his maths, gravity would act as if magic and reach out instantaneously. So he didn't want to be attributed it to like a theory of gravity. It was just, here is the maths and it worked. It's a law that functions. When you move outside of a local system like the Earth and you start having to deal with relativity, then yes, Newton's law of gravitational attraction doesn't hold up because it's not as accurate as Einstein's equations, which, by the way, you can derive Newton's law of gravitational attraction from Einstein's field equations. So they do describe the same
Which is
thing.
a big thing.
Yeah.
Right. It has to
say I got
that's a big
this.
thing
Don't worry.
because
My knuckles are bloody. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry.
I was just going to say it's a big. What Craig said is important because general relativity did not replace Newtonian physics. What it did was it explained it in a different way that still would explain it accurately. But the reason why we don't use general relativity for basic kinematics is because it's very complicated and most of it falls away, and you don't have to use that kind of math to do the same types of things to get the same results. So why overcomplicate it? But you could use relativity to model these things, but you don't need to for very simple two-body diagrams for the most part.
Yeah. Sorry, that was. I just wanted to kind of clarify that because flat earthers constantly say, "Oh, Newton's theory of gravity," because Newton didn't have a theory of gravity.
Oh, okay. Well, it's still a theory. I mean, of course, you need something to be holding quadrillions of tons of water and everything to a spinning ball because of the centrifugal force. So, of course, you're going to need something to be pulling. But if the Earth's not a ball, it's not spinning. If it's not spinning, there's no centrifugal force, so you don't even need gravity.
I mean,
Wait, you think that
spinning,
because
right?
wait, is he saying that the water wouldn't be on the Earth if the Earth wasn't spinning? It would just flow away?
Well, I think he's saying.
Does he think like water is like on the graviton or something, or
I don't know.
like when you?
That's why you need
I don't know how
gravity.
that's
That's why you
working.
need gravity. That's why you need gravity for your bunk model, because centrifugal force is a real thing. Everything that spins has centrifugal force.
Okay, so
let's get into this a little bit here.
Centripetal is real. Centrifugal is not.
15 degree per hour drift.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened there. Bob just appeared out of nowhere.
Okay, so the thing is, I want to ask why. Okay, so since everything is governed by math equations, and we can buoyancy and density. Okay, except the buoyancy and density. Okay, except the buoyancy and the density that you observe, and the droppity and the uppity, whatever we want to call it. This stuff actually responds to our math exactly how we calculate it. Like when they build a submarine, do you think they just put a bunch of metal together, fill it with bathtubs or whatever, and put a bunch of people in it and go, fuck, that thing will float, right? Like they have to calculate it. They say, well, the vessel weighs this much, and then you have like a lot of times you have like dry weights and wet weights. What does it weigh with the tank's empty? What does it weigh with the tank's full? Because they need to calculate all of these things to make sure that the thing doesn't just sink to the bottom of the briny when they drop it in the water with a bunch of people on board. So, this is how they do it. So all of these things, when they calculate building a ride at Disney World, everything, they use all of these equations for these things. And so the thing is, you're living in a world that is governed by math, and you're saying math isn't reality. Well, that's fine that the numbers on paper aren't reality, but that is reality in the sense of, like, for instance, do you know how, okay, so police go to a car accident, and they get there, and all they get is there's a car smashed into the side of another car, they've got skid marks on the ground, they've got all this shit. So how do they figure out what happened? One of the things they can do is they can take the skid marks. Well, they know that when people get in accidents, they slam the brakes on. And that's where the rubber starts. So they could look at where the rubber starts, and they can look at where the rubber ends. They can see if you even hit the brakes. But what they can also do is they can calculate the inertia of the car based on its weight. They can calculate all of these things based on resistance of air, whether it was on a gravel. Well, if it was on gravel, they'd have the gravel marks, not tire prints, but like not rubber. But still, they can calculate that too. How far did it slide on gravel? Well, they know that a car on gravel is like rolling on ball bearings, and they have a coefficient they've calculated from doing test after test after test and figuring out how far cars go, all that stuff. And they enter this into an equation, and they go, okay, I got another one. Have you ever passed one of those things on the side of the highway that shows an airplane, a picture of an airplane? I know that we don't have them in Canada, but America has them, like in lots of places. I've seen it, where they have a picture of an airplane and it says, this road is patrolled by aircraft. How does that plane calculate how fast you're going, Hiphophippy? How does a plane that is going far faster than you, how can he, because the way a car does it is he gets behind you and either matches your speed using a speedometer, which is also calculated using math, or, because it's a ratio, or he tags you with a device that is governed by the speed of light and math again. He bounces a signal off the front of your car. It bounces back to him like a bat listens for its surroundings, and it basically goes, oh, I sent 2 signals. The first signal got there at this fast. The second signal bounced back this much quicker based on how far apart those signals are sent out and the speed of light, blah, blah, blah. This is how fast the car is going. He pulls you over, he gives you a ticket. But how does an aircraft do it? Well, there's lines painted on the highway. And the plane flies along, and they see a plane, because from the sky, they can see a car going faster than other cars pretty easily. And they find a car that's zooming, and they wait for it to pass one of those painted lines on the highway, and they know how long the line is. It's a mile or a kilometer or whatever their calculation is, and they time it. They start a timer. Just guy pulls out a clock, and he goes, tick. He starts timing. He waits for the car to pass the other line. He stops the timer, and instead of doing the math, they've basically built a times table chart like when you were a child. And you'd have it like taped to your desk or something so you could do your times tables, and quickly do your math and stuff like that. And basically he just grabs it. He goes, okay, well, 1 kilometer marker or 1 mile marker, it took him 17 seconds. The car was going 150 miles an hour. And then they radio ahead to the cars on the ground and say, there's a black Tercel coming or whatever. And it's fucking 150. Tag them. And they just waiting for you to come by, and they just go catch you. How'd they know I was speeding? I had a radar detector. Well, you didn't have a plane detector. So, that's math. So you can say math isn't reality, but math turns into reality because it's math. And
okay,
Jesus
so
Christ,
if I take
one school,
I'll just show you how math isn't reality. If I take one drop of water,
things. Please don't.
If I take 1 drop of water and add it to another drop of water, I don't have 2 drops of water. I only have 1 drop of water.
You have 2 drops worth of water. I bet you the weight doubled. I bet you there's a math equation that could tell you how the weight doubled because you do it times 2. And then it would be like, that's 2 drops of water worth of water. Okay, and then I could take a knife. I could slice those back in half, which would be divide by 2, because I've taken a knife and divided it, and I've pushed 1 drop to the right and 1 drop to the left. I could also go negative 1 drop, and I could sop up the other drop with a piece of paper towel. You see, that's math. Negative plus.
So you could do all these equations.
But you did 1 plus 1 is all you fucking did. You did 1 plus 1. This is the fucking triangle all over again, everybody.
This is how pathetic it's got because you guys think math is reality. I just said you add 1 drop to another drop. You don't have 2 drops of water.
This is so good. You have, you do. Okay, so if I take 1 gram of weed and another gram of weed and I put them together, do you have 2 grams of weed?
I was going to say it's just a semantic issue. It's just the unit of measurement that you're using. If I have 1 gram plus 1 gram, I have 2 grams. If I have 1 drop and plus 1 drop, I have 2 drops. Now we're just calling that 2 drop 1 single drop because it's bigger. That's a semantic thing. It has nothing to do with math.
He's saying it's absorbed into it. It doesn't mean. I bet you if you weighed that drop, the weight of the drop doubled. So you did add a drop. You did 1 plus 1. So do you want to take a drop away, cut it in half, and that's divide, and then we can go minus 1, take the other drop away. You did plus 1. So which one are we missing? Times 1, which is still 1 in that case. But I don't know what to say about that.
You have the equivalent of 2 drops of water. We're just going to call that 1 drop because that's how we look at it.
I mean, so if I add a pound of gas, if I add 1 pound of gas to a refrigeration system that takes 4 pounds, and it's only got 3 pounds in there, and I add that pound of gas, did that pound of gas I put in just fucking vanish? Is it just all 1 gas in there, or did I add a pound of gas still? I still plus 1 pound of gas into that system. Well, but like, it doesn't just make it because they became one with each other. Like if they're in the same vessel, all of a sudden it vanishes from existence. Like you never put it in there. Oh my God, it disappears. Hey, everybody, you can get things through customs but by putting them in the same container, and they stop existing.
So if
the
I go
way to ship drugs.
If I go to my bank and tell them to just ignore the fact that there's a negative number, are they going to be cool with that?
Well, because negative numbers don't exist, right? I mean, I don't want to just beat up on you, Hiphophippy. The thing that I'm trying to instill upon you is that I don't understand how that's not math. And you know, you say it's not reality. Okay, so what if the droplet of water was shaped like a 1? What if I was able to put a little mold down and shape it? In fact, what if I froze little 1s in water, little ice 1s?
Is that reality?
Would that be okay? But hold on. If I took those ice 1s,
a drop of water is shaped like a 1. So a drop of water is shaped like a 1.
Okay, so if I took a drop of water and I froze it into a tiny little 1, sure, why not? And then I added them to each other. I put one on top of the other, and I let it melt, and it became 1 droplet. Did the second ice 1 just vanish from existence because they melted together, or did they get added to each other? Was that a +1? I think it was a +1. I mean, the thing is, you're surmising that like
still 1 drop of water.
Yeah, plus fuck. Oh my God, it's 2 times. Okay, so did the weight from the second drop stop existing? Or will that weigh 2 drops of water?
Actually, like if we're going to talk about semantics, a drop of water is actually a specific amount, 0.05 mils. And I think Bob Science Guy said that there's 60 drops in a cc. So when you're saying there's 1 drop of water, do you mean that there is exactly 0.05 mils of water? And if that comes in contact with another 0.05 mils worth of water, that is still 2 drops, because 2 drops is 0.1 mils of water.
1 mil. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's this
is called an equivocation fallacy. What he's doing?
Yeah, I think you guys are the ones. I think you're the one. You're the one committing the fallacy. You guys are the ones committing.
Well, let me explain to you real quick why we're not. Oh, can you tell me the equivocation fallacy?
Yeah,
I'm committing it. So how am I committing it?
I had a simple demonstration, and you guys move the goalpost. You guys are moving the goalpost as well.
Well, one fallacy at a time. How am I?
Another drop of water doesn't make 2 drops of water.
Drops of water. Well, it does, correct?
But because I just debunked math is not reality. Just because I debunked math is reality doesn't mean you have to move the goalposts, man. Just deal with it.
Hiphophippy. Did you not just hear what Craig said? He literally just explained to you you have 2 drops of water.
Even if it is in 1 ball, that is still 2 drops of water, because 2 drops of water is 0.1 mil.
The equivocation he's having is he's confusing the amount of what we use for the unit measurement with we would have a group thing. Like we're just going to call it a group. We're going to say all this in here, we're going to call it one thing, right? The set of all those drops, we're going to call that a drop. That's just a semantic name. But 1 drop plus 1 drop is 2 drops, just like 1 gram plus 1 gram is 2 grams.
You know, if 64 more people subscribe to me, I will have to cover myself in sugar syrup.
Right, well, why don't you take a minute right now to tell people why they should subscribe to you?
Okay, everybody, if you haven't heard, I wanted to do it at a higher sub count, so don't get me wrong. Don't stop at 2,500. I'll add gallons of syrup for every 100 people on top of 2,500. So I am going to pour sugar syrup all over my hairy body. And the wasps are out. It's actually, this should have been done a month ago before the wasps, because it's that season now. So this will be fun. My wife was going to do it in a bikini. It's getting colder, so we got to hit that number, guys. I told her she's allowed to wear boots with fur, and that is it. Well, other than the bikini. And nobody's going to see our faces, but that's about it. I'm going to put beaver head on all of us.
If one of my mods could please put the link to Brainy Beaver's channel in the chat, that would be amazing. Guys, please do subscribe to Brainy Beaver. Yeah, he's awesome.
And check out my latest video, because it's actually doing quite well, and I want it to, like, the more thumbs up and the more interaction it gets, YouTube will keep pushing that bitch.
Yeah.
I'm having a great video as well. Thank you.
Back to debunking.
I just subscribed, and by the way, good choice in music on your video. That for your I use the same one. That's the same. That's the same intro I use for. Oh, on your trailer for your subscribers. When you first go to your page, it has your trailer video. Yeah, you use the same song that I use for DEF CON 1 Science with Landon Kurt Knoll.
Okay.
Very good, excellent choice.
It's a good song.
I like your channel already. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna watch these videos now.
Halfway through that video I just put out is my awesome intro to my How Come Moon. I'm gonna be trying to work on more intros to my segments and spice up season 2 a bit. Hey, that ad has not been monetized. Like I paid $50. I shilled myself to Google to send that ad out, and it's been under review for a week. And like the period I put it up for is gonna go by before they even acknowledge it. I'm sure it's the breasts on Orphan Beaver on the satire part, because I guarantee they hate that. Anyways, continue. Sorry, debating.
Yes, right. So Hiphophippy, your entire argument can kind of be summed up with this meme, right?
Well, there's no visible curvature, so you guys haven't debunked me, so I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, I guess, Brainy, how about you try and specifically debunk the claim that there is no visible curvature? Do you have any references or anything you can talk about?
Before I do that, everybody, but non-sec is on in 30 minutes. Everybody hurry up, hit remind. Quick, hit your set reminders. I'm kidding. Fuck off. Non-sec. I don't even know why. I didn't even realize I was subscribed. I haven't unsubscribed. I still, unless they heard that live stream, I still have a wrench.
Oh, I got hard banned from that channel.
You're one up on way.
Well, it was too late. It was too late. It was his chat where he got banned had already gone way too far past. I'm like, wait a minute, I can unban you, but it was too far. Fight was too far out. I can't get to him now. He's gone. I was hoping to unban him and let him go at it again. That would have been awesome. So, anyway, sorry. What was debate? Okay, so to debunk the no curvature thing. I mean, the problem is that our senses are very limited. I mean, to stand on the right on the surface of an object, I'm going to switch. This avatar is not as good for talking. To stand on the right on the surface of an object and kind of look out over it and say, well, it looks flat. Well, when I look at a power wire, it doesn't look very electrically energized until I lick my fingers and grab it, and holy fuck, that hurt. So, the thing is, that's great to look out with, from the ground and look at it, but you're just a small little person. I am too. I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, we're all just small little ants standing on the surface of something. I mean, have you ever seen that picture of the basketball that's zoomed right in with, was it a P1000 or 900 or something? Yeah. And they zoomed in on the basketball, and that basketball looks awfully flat because it's taking the perspective of you standing on the surface, looking out over something that is so large that your mind is having a hard time comprehending the size. And that's why, when we say something
towards the camera.
It's curving away from the camera. Yeah, and you can see that. Well, hence why I can't see Toronto from here.
What would happen? What would happen right when you raise an altitude over the basketball? You would see a curve.
Well, no. Why would you see a curve? The distance, your distance to the curve has stayed the same. No. Because a basketball is so tiny. If you lift, you got to lift. Okay, so if you're talking about, so if you go a centimeter up from your position on that basketball, you've done the equivalent of adding 5 miles of going up in an airplane. You got to do perspective here. So so if you're talking about going up, like if you're talking about going up, we're talking about a drone height or an airplane height, but we're only talking about on the basketball, we're talking a millimeter, not even like a half a millimeter.
So ships going over the curve. It's not a curve.
When did I say that?
Wait, what now?
Well, if you can't see the curve, unless you go really, 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 really high, you're not seeing the curve at sea level.
Yeah, but,
do you want to talk
us through that line of thinking? I never claimed I can see the curve, and that doesn't change the fact that I think that Fight has some images right now at its disposal that actually do show the curve. I've never claimed to see curve.
Well, how come we can't see the curve? So you're one of those globers who think you have to go really high to see curve.
Well, okay, so I've got a question for you.
You have to go really high, right?
Okay, so I've got a question for you. You're on the highway, okay? You're on the highway, and you want to pass a transport, okay? So you're right behind a transport. You're tailgating him. You're fucking right in his drift, got a foot between your bumper and his bumper. You're basically eating his bumper for dinner. Okay, now, how easy is it for you to see around that transport? It's pretty difficult from there because you have to pretty much like pull right to the outside, and you have to like get your vehicle right out, pull right out, and get your head right out there because you're so close to the transport. But if you back away from the transport, which is the same as elevating in the sky and moving away from the earth, the farther back you get on the transport, the more and more you can see around that transport because the transport starts becoming smaller because of perspective, as you would say, and you start to cut the angle because of how an angle works. I mean, come on. So it's the same thing like, so then you know, that's why if you're driving up on a transport and you're really banging on it, you can see that there's nobody in the other lane. You know, it's wide open. You just keep banging on it. You just pull out and rip past them and pull back in because you could see everything. But it's because the transport was small and your perspective to it was that you could see around the transport. Now, imagine you're so close to that transport that you're literally wearing it. Like your face is pressed against the transport with your eyeball right squished up against it and you're looking down the side of it. Now, can you see around that transport? I mean, it's going to look like just all I'm going to see is the edge of the back of a transport. And then where it drops, it's also going to stop, which is kind of curvature, I guess, in its own way. So it's going to do the exact same thing as the Earth. You're only going to see to the edge of the transport, and then you're not going to see any transport anymore. But if that transport back kept going, you would keep seeing it. See, I mean, you just, of course, the higher you go, the more you would see curvature. But I'm not claiming that you'll see it from Baumgartner's jump or any of that shit. I mean, I'll agree with you. I haven't been up there. I don't fucking know. Got curved lens, non-curved lens, whatever. The bottom line is that I do believe they go to space, and really, I mean, I do wake up sometimes in the night and go, oh yes, that's right, we do debate this.
Don't we all?
Oh, what's going on? Like, what have I done with my life?
We all do that. Yeah, wait a minute. I've done that. I've done that most of my teen years.
I sent a text. I think I sent a random message to Fight and all these people and said, "Can you believe that we talk about this stuff?
I know.
Like we have to debate."
I feel sorry.
It's really shocking.
I genuinely feel sorry for my wife because, like, when people are like, "Oh, what does your husband do?" Well, he shouts at idiots on the internet.
Hey, I got a question for you before Hiphophippy keeps going.
It really is hard to tell people when they ask a lot of times. Like I go out and they're like, you know, so what do you do? And I'm like, I don't even know when I want to answer this question.
See, I stopped telling people I make fun of flat earthers because they get a lot of weird looks. I say, I make fun of dumb people. What I want to ask Fight is, before we get back to Hiphophippy here, because obviously this isn't supposed to be us jammering. It's supposed to be a debate. But I do want to ask, do you think ever that guy that made your little girl upset and everything do you think he knows what you look like? Or do you think he's like heard the story and been like, that's the fucking guy, I should have left his little girl alone?
I've seen him around like the village quite often and like looked at him, but I don't think he's a flat earther that knows people or anything, but
or involved in any way.
Yeah, like.
Anyways, okay.
I would love for him to be like, "You're FTFE." Like, yes, I am. And it's your fault.
And then Fight gets to pretend he's important too. See, and Fight's not important either. He doesn't think he is, but he might be that day. That'll make him feel special.
I bet if Fight went to a flat Earth convention, they would probably know who he is, and he'd be, you know, he'd be very popular.
I'm pretty sure I would need security.
If he walked out on the street, let's face it, if he walked out on the street anywhere and he just walked out there, he'd probably, you know, it would just be, who the fuck is Fight the Flat Earth? He'd be like, you know.
With that, looking like that, well, I don't think he's allowed in public. Oh, that's Reds.
Kind of meant hobble. Yeah, hobble out on the street. He's going to limp out there. Anyways, right. Sorry.
So who won this?
Yeah. Well,
are we still going? Are we can
I'm still weighing in on whether the Earth is flat or not. I don't know.
We're coming
okay, hold on. Let's do pressure.
An hour and a half. So I think it's probably time to start thinking about. Yeah. Okay. Why don't you guys talk about the pressure gradient for say 10-15 minutes? Then we'll do closing statements and get out of here for tonight and go over to Steve's channel for an after show, which I'm sure both of you guys are invited.
We're gonna drink.
Yeah, I'll get
absolutely. We're gonna drink copious amounts of alcohol.
But okay, so we could do. Okay, go ahead.
So so you're pretty much saying that we shouldn't see curvature at sea level, right?
It's hard to see things that are very minuscule. I mean, I can't see dust mites, but we know they're there. I mean, I think was it like 25% of society has like little eyebrow mites? I mean, do you look at your friends and go, fuck, look at that eyebrow mite, bud. I mean, things are small, things are big. I mean, we all got different sizes involved here, so, you know,
Like,
you're pretty small, so you're standing.
If I asked you to give me a photograph,
why is it so hard to? Why is it so hard to think? Oh, I don't see curvature because there is no curvature.
Okay, except you're dismissing. Okay. You're dismissing so much evidence, though, that my mind explodes thinking about being that naive. Like, that's the problem. Like, you're taking everything and going, fuck all that, because, I mean, I don't know. Hey, okay, so I got a question for you. Can you see, well, some diseases you can see on the outside of people, but can you, you know, like, you can't, I mean, just to say I don't see curve is such a bullshit shit garbage. Like, I mean, honestly, it's the equivalent of me walking up to you and saying, well, I don't see your Nazi curve. Like, I mean, fucking what's...
That's the whole point of flat Earth, though. You don't... The reason why we think the Earth is flat
right?
is because there's no observable curvature. Oh, and if you want to play that, you can pause that right now. You see that land back there?
Where?
Go back.
Oh, but I proved to you that high land
I'm going to debunk this video right now. You see that? You see that land in between both of those ships?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Where's
when
the
he
bottom of
zooms in, it's the limited viewing angle, dude. I showed.
Okay,
so when you zoom in on that ship,
do we know where that shot was taken, everybody?
Excuse me. When you zoom in on that ship, you see how it looks like it's going, you know, down below the horizon. That's a pretty steep curve. Why is that land visible back there and not tilted? You see the land?
Oh, my brain.
Do you not see the land? That doesn't.
Yeah.
That
What's the
doesn't. If you're seeing a
altitude
curve like that, no, wait. If you're seeing a curve like that at sea level, you would see that on an airplane.
Okay, so can you see people washing their cars when you're at altitude? Have you even fucking been on an airplane, hip hop? I mean,
yes,
honestly.
I've been on an airplane many times. I actually just took a trip to Australia, and I looked out the window, and what do I see? A flat horizon. I don't see any curvature anywhere.
Did you tell all the people around you how flat it was? I have to know. Did you have a conversation with somebody?
I actually have friends, my close friends. We all know the Earth's flat. I try to tell people at work, but all they tell me, all the people at work tell me is, oh, NASA pictures. Like, dude.
Okay, so I gotta ask you. But did you tell people on the plane that weren't your friends? Did you try to inform people? I'm curious.
Oh no, I didn't.
Why wouldn't you? If you're so confident that this is a real thing, why aren't you trying to wake more people?
Well, it's because
I don't understand. Are you afraid of me?
The people I was next to didn't even speak English, so and it was like a 15.
Would you have
get some help for the people in those buildings? I think they're underwater.
See, the problem is, what's the altitude of that shoreline? You look out and you say, hey, do you see that hillside? Do you see that bit of land? But the thing is, like, do we know where that image was taken? Because I'd love to just take Google Map and find out how tall that shoreline was. Because, I mean, a ship's only going to be a couple hundred feet high at best. Maybe 100 feet even, or 150 feet. Well, the top of those might be 200 feet.
Those blink tests are bullshit because the picture that you're superimposing is obviously from a different distance. I mean, it just looks stupid. And besides, it's all irrelevant. It's all irrelevant because if there's a curve at sea level, you're going to see it when you go on an airplane. But you don't.
Okay, but I don't understand. Okay, I want to know how. What's your three-dimensional understanding? Okay, this is my problem. Okay, so here I will draw. Okay, so your distance to the horizon isn't really going to change much because all you're doing is going straight up. So you're cutting the angle at a different angle, but you're still going to have a horizon because it keeps folding away from you. It keeps curving away. So, you know, an airplane, I keep trying to tell you this, an airplane, you guys, here, I'll give you an example. Okay, so if the Earth was an apple, a typical apple you buy from the grocery store, not a little tiny thing, but if the Earth was an apple, a typical nice big apple you could hold in your hand and take a big bite out of, okay? The atmosphere of the Earth would be thinner than the skin of the apple. And when you go up in an airplane, you're going up like a tenth of the skin thickness. So if you think of an apple in your hand and you think of the thickness of a tenth of the skin, and you say, well, you can't see fucking curve. Well, yeah, no shit, because you're still tiny and insignificant.
But you can see curve at sea level.
Well, I never said that. And besides, a plane is jumping around. I'm sure if you could...
That's what those observations suggest. That's what you guys say they do. They say that they prove curvature at ground level, sea level. But then you say that, but then you go off and then you say, well, you can't see it because you're not high enough. So what is it? It's like, it's a fundamental contradiction. And you guys do it all the time. You guys do it all the time. It's like a psychological debate tactic or something just to confuse your opponent. I don't know. Because it's a fucking contradiction.
I think talking to a flat earther in general is probably a psychological warfare kind of thing.
That's the thing is that you're this is the front line.
Okay, but you're what is it good for? But where I was gonna go with that is ultimately so I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we can just lay this out here. We're just gonna put this into a one sentencer. So your entire argument is predicated, regardless of all of the other facts you have, your argument is predicated upon, I just can't see it. Right? Just to make sure? I mean, that's it, right?
Well, how are you going to say that there's curvature if none of us can fucking see it?
Okay, but you still didn't explain.
Except 500 people who have gone onto some fucking fake-ass space station. Like, come on now.
Well, you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have a hard time when Virgin Galactic and all them finally finish getting their shit together, because that's happening.
When that happens, I'll institutionalize myself. When that happens, I'll institutionalize myself. But until then, it's fucking flat.
Okay, but just because you feel a certain way, it doesn't make it right. By the way, just so you know. I mean, you can feel anything you want, but your fear of insignificance is going to save you from the fact that you're the globe.
I can see it. I can see that there's no curvature. So why would I assume? Why would I be like, oh, I see curvature when I don't? Why would I lie to myself?
Okay. I mean, okay, I can. So then I've got an experiment. I'm going to bring you an electrical wire, and it looks great. It looks fine. I mean, it's just copper wires. Do you mind licking your fingers and grabbing that? Because you can't see anything wrong with it, right? So since our ability to see is basically all fact, and there's no ability for our eyesight or our senses to be giving us maybe limited information, you should have no problem grabbing this wire I'm holding in my hand right here.
Yeah, but see, the point is, you guys say that you can see curve at sea level, but then you say you can't see the curve when you go in the sky.
We're on a circle.
So,
no, that's a big circle.
Which is it?
Get the fuck off of that.
No.
I want to ask you if you would grab these wires, because they don't look like there's anything wrong with them. I've got two sets of wires. Grab one of them. Just eeny, meeny, miny, moe it. Will you do it? Or will you take my word that one of these... Oh, but you can't see the power.
Obviously, now that I'm an adult, I would know, like, okay, maybe I can get electrocuted. But if I was like a young kid or like a toddler and I did something like that, no, you wouldn't know.
So you use deduction.
You wouldn't know because you weren't taught about it. Huh?
Okay, so do you fail to use... Okay, so you don't deduce when you get all this overwhelming evidence around you with the shape of the Earth. You can't deduce, but yet you're telling me that you have the ability to tell me that grabbing wires is bad. I don't understand. What this wire looks fine. I don't see any electricity in it. It's just, come on, it's just a wire. I'm just holding this wire right here. You don't want to take some of this wire?
I want some wire.
I mean, it's not plugged.
I mean, how many volts are in this? Can you tell me how many volts are in this wire by licking it and touching it with your fingertips? I mean, you might be able to tell me like you can give me an ouch factor, but you can't tell me the voltage, right? So, do you acknowledge that our senses are limited, and that we sometimes need to generate tools to detect things and to do things for us? Now, I know you don't like man-made equipment. I watch some of your debates, but the problem is that every day you go to work and you use man-made equipment. You're debating with me on man-made equipment. You use man-made equipment calculations. That big iron bird you took to Australia, man-made equipment. So the thing is, you rely on these pieces of equipment when you need to, but you don't want to rely on this piece of man-made equipment. So why is Iron Bird in Sky okay, but I mean, they can't possibly know how the shape of the Earth. And fuck all of the tools we have to detect it, because I don't need them, because it doesn't look flat. But I mean, there's a million things you can't detect with your vision, and I could list them for days. And they're there.
Well,
so
doesn't mean the curve's there.
So we'll just make sure that it's for the record, everybody, that his argument is, I can't see it, therefore it does not exist.
Oh, PNG fail.
Well, you can't see it either.
Fail.
So you even said that you can't see it.
Hang on.
Well, I never claimed to be able to see it.
Hang on. You guys said this a million times. So we can't see it. So let me ask you. Would you expect to see a curve if you have a very large object the size of what we would estimate the Earth to be, right? 7,200, 300 miles in diameter. Do you think that is something we would expect to see a curve on if you were on the surface?
Well, we'd be able to measure it. What's the curve calculation?
No, that's not my question.
What's your curve calculation?
Listen to me carefully. Would we expect, with an expectation, to see curvature standing on something the size that is 7,200, 300 miles in diameter? So 23,000 miles circumference. That's not my question.
We'd be able to measure.
I'm not talking about measuring. Now, talking about measuring. Third time I'm going to ask the same question here.
Well, I guess not, because I guess not. No, I don't think so, because
Okay. So
yeah, I don't think so.
No, fine. All right, so we wouldn't have an expectation to see curvature. So why is it your argument is we don't see curvature, therefore the Earth is not round? Since it's actually what we would be expecting to see if the Earth is round, how are you using that as evidence against a round Earth?
Because you guys say you could see curvature at sea level.
I never said this to you once, so shut the fuck up about that. Seriously,
I don't remember saying that.
Well,
I never said that either.
You don't say that? All of you guys say you can see curvature at sea level. You guys use
all of you guys.
Hang on.
We're gonna play this game two ways then.
Hang on, moderation. Can you give me an instance of anybody here that said that? Can you give me a video timestamp or anything along those lines? Because you made an assertion that is something that I know that I, fact, have not said. I've never heard Craig say it. I don't know Brainy, but I doubt that he's have said it, but if he has. But do you have any evidence whatsoever that we've ever said that?
Yeah, I've debated Craig a few times, and he says ships go over the horizon. Ships go over the curve.
And how many times have I said to you there's a difference between the effects of curvature and seeing curvature?
It's going over a curve, though. You're saying the ships are going behind a curve. That's what you're saying. You're saying that the curve is obstructing ships.
He's telling you the difference.
I want to make a point though, based on this, though.
Sure.
I mean, my point is simply going to be that if we're going to play this game, then I'm going to say that why do you believe in the oceans above and below? Because, I mean, half of them do. So, I mean, if we're going to make assumptions on what the other person believes in, I'm going to say you believe in a firmament and you believe that there's an aquarium above us.
Well, no, I'm just trying to figure out which globe model do you believe in? I'm trying to figure it out.
There's only one globe model.
There's only one globe
what's
model.
What's your curve calculation? What is your curve calculation?
The curve calculation is H equals R times 1 minus cos A. That's the curve calculation.
Yeah. What are the numbers? What are the numbers?
I just gave
What
you
are the numbers
math.
for your globe? No, you gave me a formula. What are the numbers?
Well, using that formula, you
enter
can
the
actually
numbers using
calculate
that formula.
the hidden drop for any distance on the globe.
Well, what's the numbers? You guys know it's your model.
You want
you
to
guys
know
don't
what
have
the
a model?
circumference of the Earth is?
What's your model? I want to know, how many miles are things going to be obstructed?
Are you asking what?
I'm asking how many miles is something going to be obstructed?
Well, the formula to figure out the distance to the horizon
there's 8 inches per mile squared.
No, that's not the formula.
If it's not 8 inches per mile squared, if it's not 8 inches per mile squared, what is it?
I just told you H equals R times 1 minus cos A.
No. If it's not 8 inches per mile squared, what is it?
I just told you, literally.
So you have no model. You actually have no model. Is that what you're telling me?
Is this
that what you're
happening
telling
right
me?
now? Am I having a stroke?
Yeah, it is happening right now. Yeah, I think you might be, because this shit is fucking. You guys don't even have a model.
I just told
What's
you.
the numbers? No, what are the numbers, dude? What are the numbers?
Hiphophippy. Do you understand though? Because I think Craig explained it quite well. But do you see the difference between observing the effects of curvature as opposed to seeing the curve itself? Those are very distinctly different things. Would you not agree with that?
So where are these ships going behind then? Is that not a curve? Is that not a curve?
It's a yes or no
No,
question.
I'm asking
it doesn't
you.
require any expository.
Do
you understand the difference between the effects of the curve as opposed to the curve itself?
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
So,
okay.
So what are the ships going over then? What are the ships going over then? So is that not the curve or what?
That's the effect of the curve.
The effect, you're not seeing the curve itself. You're seeing the effect of the curve.
Right, look at the screen right now. Hiphophippy, look at the screen
they're
right
not going
now.
so they're going over the horizon,
Stop.
but they're not going over a curve.
Look at the screen right now.
What is it? That's another contradiction. That's like three contradictions right now.
Hiphophippy, look at the screen right now. All right, that is left to right curve. You can stop being so stupid now, right?
Whatever, dude. You say that's curvature. Well, I don't know. Have you? I've been on a plane so many times, dude. I've never seen curvature.
You always haven't been at 33,000 feet like that picture was taken at.
33,000 feet?
Yeah.
Normal airliners fly at 35,000 feet.
Well,
I've been on fucking airliners
33,000 feet. I can give you the link to where it came from. That is left to right curvature right there. I mean,
what? How come? No, I'm talking. How come it's not curving away? How come it's not curving away from you like it does at sea level?
It is, but you can't see past the horizon because there's a fucking planet in the way.
Well, and the Earth can't even be called a planet because a planet refers to wandering stars. So by definition, the Earth isn't even a planet. Yeah, it does.
So I watched your debate.
No, I can't let that go. What?
Earth can't be called I'm broken.
I think Cal said he's already got this downloading.
Yeah, that cognitive dissonance must be painful, right?
The Earth can't be called a planet.
Yeah, it's not in a fucking infinite vacuum, dude. There's no curvature.
Well,
there's no fucking curvature.
The universe isn't technically
you can't even measure.
And it's not, space isn't a vacuum.
What is the curvature formula? What is the curve? What's the dimensions of the curve? If it's not 8 inches per mile squared, what is it?
It's h, which is the hidden drop, times r, which is the radius of the Earth, times. Well, listen to the words coming out of my mouth. Just for 1 second. Try and comprehend what I'm saying. Yes, and I'm explaining to you the numbers that are included in that formula. Now listen for 1 second. H, which is the hidden drop you will find when you take r, which is the radius of the Earth, and times it by 1 minus cos A, which is the angle.
That's affirming the consequent. You're assuming it's a globe.
Stop.
Yes. Why can't you just tell me what?
You're asking me. Stop.
No.
Listen.
Why can't you just tell me how much curvature? How much curvature?
Stop talking and
after
listen.
the horizon, how much?
It's not affirming the consequence when you ask me how to calculate the curvature.
No, I'm not asking you how to calculate. I'm asking you what is the calculation when
H equals r times 1 minus cos A. That is the calculation.
From a standard 6'12" person, how far? No, dude.
Oh, you want to know the calculation for the distance to the horizon? It is you take the observer height times I think the square root of 3.7 or 3.7.
What I'm saying is, if it's not 8 inches per mile squared, what is it? What is it?
H equals r.
That's
times 1 minus.
That's a calculation. That's not a formula. That is a calculation. Off of your globe model.
Yeah.
Geodesy.
That's what
geodesy tablets are right in line with that. Are you saying geodesy tables are wrong?
No,
Is that what
I'm
you're
telling
saying?
you that the formula to calculate the curvature, well, the hidden drop that you will find on the curve of the Earth
So it is
h
8
equals
inches per
r
mile
times
squared.
1 minus cos A. No, because
So it is 8
right,
inches
right.
per mile squared.
Do you know what a parabola is?
Yes, I do.
Define a parabola.
It's a curve, but it's not a sphere.
That's not the definition of a parabola. A parabola is a roughly U-shaped curve. That is the definition of a parabola. So the thing about 8 inches per mile squared is it is a single mathematical function. And a single mathematical function cannot create a graph that curves back in on itself. For that, you need two functions. So 8 inches per mile squared is not the formula to calculate the curvature of the Earth. Because mathematically,
well, of
it's
course
impossible
it's not
to do
formula.
it.
It's a calculation. What is the calculation?
H equals r times 1 minus cos A. You just pop
No,
in the
that's a
numbers that you
formula.
need.
That is a formula. Is that not a formula?
Yeah, it's how you
am I
calculate
having a
it.
stroke? Am I having a stroke?
I think you might.
Wait.
Am I having a stroke?
I don't. Do you know what a calculation
I might be
is?
having a stroke.
Might have been a while back.
And by the way,
Yeah.
that's a surveying rough estimate thing, but that really isn't how it actually even works. But he asked you a question like, do you know what a parabola is? I'm curious.
Okay.
Now I'm curious.
If it's not 8 inches per mile squared,
No, I'm
okay,
asking you a
because
question. Why do you ask? Why do
I'm
you
ask-
answer a question
I'm-
with a question? What's a parabola?
He doesn't.
because I've been asking the same question and you guys haven't given me an answer yet.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what.
Why
you
should I answer your
you
questions when you guys can't even answer mine?
I answered
Will
it.
you answer then?
I've answered it like 5 times.
What is it?
No, you haven't.
What is a parabola?
If it's not, what's the rate of curve? If it's not 8 inches per mile squared, what is it?
H equals.
Do you know? Do you know what? Wait. Do you know what a conic section is? Have you ever heard of conic sections? The difference between when you have a cone, you slice it, you get different things like a hyperbole or a hyperbolic function or a parametric. Have you ever seen any of that? Or parabola? Have you done any of that? I'm just kind of
Steve,
curious.
you just assume that he hasn't at this point.
Okay.
No.
So somebody, you know, it's funny. I'm just kind of curious. Somebody had asked you what a curve was, and I don't think he answered that either. Did he? Brandy, did he answer what a curve was?
I don't think so.
A curve is.
I think it doesn't look curved anyways.
A curve is opposite of what, like a straight line, right?
Well, a curve is a deviation from a straight path.
I see. I'm frozen.
Okay.
I'm not actually frozen. Just doing something.
Yeah, there you go. Those are conic sections.
Okay.
So when we're talking about parabola, we're talking about a function like x squared is a parabola. You actually plot that and you put numbers in there and you graph it, you're going to get that type of shape. And then depending on whether you have a negative or a positive, it'll be inflected. So you have it going one way or you have it the other way. You can actually measure things like comet paths by using parabolic equations, right? They're called parametric equations. So when you're using these parabolic equations, you can actually say, hey, I want to see this comet. It's coming at this trajectory. What trajectory is it going to come out the other side of the sun on? You use this parabolic equation here. Well, that's not the equation, but there are parabolic equations you use to figure that out.
Yeah.
But that's a parabola. So when he's talking about parabola, that's what he's talking about. That's a special type of curve in relationship to a conic section.
Okay.
So when you ask me what is the calculation for the curvature of Earth, I will tell you the calculation to find the drop that you need to be able to find that. And you're asking me for the numbers, but what you need to do is do the trigonometry to get A, so you can do the 1 minus cos A part, and you need to use the currently accepted value of the radius of Earth. And then when you put those numbers into the equation H equals R times 1 minus cos A, that will give you the curvature rate of the Earth. But you have to do some of the work.
What's the curvature rate?
I just did. Did I not just spend like 45 seconds explaining?
What is the curvature rate? Why is it so hard? What is the curvature rate?
I literally just told you.
For a
H
ball
equals R
that
times
is
1 minus cos A.
for a ball that's 25,000 miles in circumference, what's the rate of curvature at a mile?
H equals R times 1 minus cos A, and that will figure it out for you.
Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it right now?
I've just given you the math. Why don't you do it?
No, why don't you do it? It's your model.
No, an equation is not my model. That is just an equation to calculate the drop that you will find on our planet with a circumference of 25,000 miles and a radius of about 4,600 miles. You know, that's that is the math. Yes, it is, because using that, you will actually be able to calculate.
What's the curvature rate after a mile? What is the curvature rate after 1 mile?
H equals R times 1 minus cos A. Figure it out.
Why can't you do it? If it's that easy, why can't you do it right now?
Can you do it? Do you know how to do the trigonometry to get A? Do you know?
This is your model, dude.
Yeah, and
I'm trying to figure out.
I'm
trying to figure out what the rate of curvature should be, so I can go out and test it for myself.
Okay, well there is the formula. There is the formula. You can figure it out. Teach a man to fish.
Mm-hmm. Why are the geodesy tables? Why are they pretty much almost exactly in line with the 8 inches per mile squared?
Because up to about 1,000 miles, it's roughly correct.
So if we could see stuff that we shouldn't be seeing past 100 miles,
refraction's a thing,
that
and then you need to take into account the observer height. And when you use that equation that I gave you, H equals R times 1 minus cos A, that all comes into play. Don't be so lazy as to claim, what's the curvature rate? I give you the tools to figure it out yourself.
Are the curve calculators correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I highly recommend people go and search Jennifer's video from of Link over Lake, Ontario, and she debunks the globe with her observation. Yes, she does.
Okay, what's her channel? I really love new channels. Sorry, what's it called?
Jenna
Channel Fredo? Sorry, isn't that a bad word these days?
Jenna Fredo.
Okay, so isn't that supposed to be like the N word to Chris Como?
Like Fredo, Fredo, I think.
D-O? There you go. It's the exact one. I think that there's some people in here that watch the news that know what I'm talking about. We'll move on from politics. That's funny.
Okay, which one?
Somebody, if you don't know what I'm talking about, look up Chris Como, Fredo.
In which video does she debunk the globe?
Lake Ontario.
Oh.
She uses Metabunk's curve calculator, and she debunks it. She beats out the calculator.
I'm so excited. Thank you for showing me this.
Yeah, I know. I thank you as well because
I really appreciate that. This is fantastic. She's in my neck of the woods too. I mean, not really. Canada's fucking huge, but she's in the same country. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Hey, Hiphophippy, while it's quiet, I gotta ask you a question. I saw you commented on the thumbnail that I made. Yeah, I had a lot of fun painting by numbers with that symbol of yours.
Yeah, he was quite angry.
Did you get encouragement from? Did you? Was he? Oh, fuck off! It's a fun little thing.
I wasn't really angry. I was just more like mad about your color palette, dude. I was like, man, I wouldn't have used those colors, but that's just me.
Please tell me at the very least you found it funny. I mean, come on. I'm Beaver. What is it? What did Radical call me? Call me Bob Beaver or Beaver Ross. Whichever one. We can have a vote for that.
All right,
well, you're only the second person ever.
Thanks for that. I can do a video on that real quick.
You're the only person ever color in one of my photos, or one of my drawings.
It did look like a paint by numbers.
I was just wondering.
All right.
Anyway, honestly, if I had more time, I would have. If I had more time, I was going to put little 1s and 2s and 3s in different boxes and stuff, but I was in a hurry.
I think we've reached that point now. We've been going for 2 hours, so why don't we let Hiphophippy go first? Just take 5 minutes. Give us your closing thoughts about anything that's happened tonight and whether you've actually changed your mind or anything.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to change my mind until manned spaceflight is possible, so I can go up and see the beautiful globe Earth. But other than that, nothing was debunked. I think I won again, undefeated. I don't know. I don't even think the globe has a model. I think the globe doesn't even have a model, and they can't even give me a freaking. They can't even give me the calculation for curvature. So, I mean, I'm
pretty sure.
What else can I say?
Times,
I don't even know. No, you didn't. Say about that. Yeah.
But anyways, everybody should go check out Southern Israelites channel. Dude's awesome, and he's pretty much the leading expert on flat Earth, in my opinion. And go debate him if you think you know.
Well,
So
I've personally challenged him and he's not responded to me. So maybe you can tell him that he's got an open challenge to come and debate me.
Woo!
cool. But
Right, well,
yeah.
Hey,
thank
BM
you.
Furball still wants to take you on Hiphophippy. That's what I understand. Was there not somebody he was trying to get in there, and apparently now he said, no, I'll have to take sloppy seconds. So if you're still willing to take on the Globies head on, I know BM Furball would love to take a shot at you.
Well, I've got my Monday and my Saturday night debates. So,
Do you want to get to the super chats?
yeah, we'll just let Brainy
I guess you should get to this
have
quick.
5 minutes.
Okay.
And,
I'm sorry, I forgot. I didn't realize Brainy was still here. Sorry, dude.
Brainy, you want to take 5 minutes? The final thoughts on what's happened tonight?
I mean, I would cordially disagree with him if he thinks he won, but that's fine. I'll let him have that. He can put it on that little chalkboard he has behind his bed head, or his head post, or whatever you call it. I don't know, different things, different places. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I brought a lot to the table, and you didn't really bring much. You walked in, dropped the mic, and said, "Flat, bitches," which I think you think is enough, but it wasn't. I mean, if you think you're trying to convince anybody, I'll argue this. I mean, you're doing nothing than just saying, look how smart I am, I don't have to prove nothing, and you're expecting us to change our minds, but your argument is, look how flat it looks. I mean, I've got some wires right here I was talking about that I want to poke you with. That they don't worry, they're regular wires. I can't see how much energy's in them, but it's not there because I can't see it. Just, you know. But and then really just to finish it off, I don't even know what to say. There wasn't much to argue against. I guess if we brought some experiments or if he had something different other than that, I mean, yeah. Otherwise, victory. You can disagree. That's fine.
I think for your first debate performance, Brainy, you did absolutely fantastic. I've been talking with some people in the chat, and I don't know if surprised is the right word, but they're pleasantly shocked that your first performance has been very strong. So I think the audience have very much enjoyed your debunking skills here. I was very, very impressed, so thank you. I'm going to read out the super chats, and then we'll let Steve take it out. So, $5 from Dapper Dino. Dapper Dino, you should also subscribe to his channel. I'm actually thinking about doing a Flat Earth video. Flerfs are usually creationists, so it counts, right? Yes, a lot of Flat Earthers are creationists. I think we need to link up on a creationist video, Dapper. $6.66 from Rangerman9404. Trolls, avoid the dumpsters. They'll be on fire soon. Talking about trolls, $1.99 from Steven Steen. Hashtag Team Hip Hop. BB has no chance. $2 from Brian Shannon. Craig, dollars due to the most albino beaver ever. Yep, he's a really cold beaver today. $2.99 from Peep Eater. Tried to explain nav gyro stuff. Triple H won't listen. Nope. And $2.99 from Peep Eater again. There is curvature. I saw it on my last flight. I know I just showed him one, but he was like, nah. And another $2.99 from Peep Eater. I'm not sure Triple H is real, and I'm not an ignorant AI. Well, you could be NASA. $2 Australian from Harry Dunn. Wall, have you ever? Not sure what that's about. But thank you. $2.99 from Peep Eater. I don't know. The thing is, we do know. Yes, we do. 10 Rons. Thank you. I do love a Weasley. From Lucian Andreas. Triple H, sorry your video is CGI. We don't accept it. And $5 Australian from Slave One. Why is the southern face of the moon lit up if it's above me at midnight in Sydney, Australia? On a flat earth, the complete opposite face would be lit up. Magic is the answer. $2 US from Raven Zero. Brainy, just math the crap out of this guy. No, we tried math. That didn't work. $2.99 from P. Peter. Flerfs believe in an I don't understand fallacy. Yep. $5 Canadian from Tammy T. Hey guys, here's a donation towards Hiphophippy's education. He needs to go back to school. He's not having it. It'll be a waste of money. And $50 Australian from Aussie Glowped, the NASA shill. Thank you very much. FTFE, I am adding you to the 12-page complaint my lawyer filed against Steve for the return of my brain cells. Well, probably speak to Kyle's lawyer about that as well. He
that'd be a conversation that doesn't exist.
$10 Australian from Gravity Axe. Here's 10 drops. Thank you. And $2 from Steven Steen. Did Jared leave? I guess Red's chickened out. Yeah, Steven Steen wants to debate Reds. I'd watch that. $10 US from Curtis Reynolds. Ask him if he can see the Ebola virus. There's currently a growing epidemic in the Congo. Tell him to go there, then come back and tell us there's no such thing as Ebola. Yep, $2 US from Bubble Burster. Effects of curvature can be seen from sea level. We tried to explain that. $5 from Translator Carminium. By Triple H's reckoning, telecommunications should be either impossible or magical because we can't see radio waves. 5,000 W something, thank you, whatever that is, from Kuesa. Holy Tamoli, first time I've seen Steve in a Flerf debate in months. What a surprise. Yes, I just walked in. Yeah, people were very happy to see you, Steve.
I'm not. I'm really not.
$2 from Design X1. Football fields don't look curve, but measure it. Yeah, football fields actually are designed with curve in, so the rain drains away. $2.99 from P. Peter. If Triple H was having a stroke, would we notice? No. $2 Australian from Gravity Axe. 8 inches per mile squared is also a formula, Triple H. $6.66 from Rangerman 9404. If the Earth is a globe, can I get a pineapple right side up cake in Australia? And $5 Australian from John Rapp. The only time the horizon is eye level is when you are an eyeball deep in water. I've been done, learned real goodly, and Triple H is stupid. Yes, he. Well, yeah. Just check to see if there's any more. Oh, there is a few more. Thank you. $5 from My Unfinished Journey. Manned space flight since the 60s. Any other goalposts to move? Well, apparently we were moving the goalposts. $5 Australian from Bombay. I've never seen Triple H or Southern Israelite, so they don't exist. Yes, I wish Southern Israelite didn't exist. $20 from Fart Rhino. The only reason this moron doesn't like science is because his science teacher raped him in front of the... That's harsh. The whole class and made him the laughingstock of the whole school. Such butthurt, as his mentor, Southern Israelite, says.
I was sitting here laughing.
$1.99 from BM Furball. Thank you. Nipples. That is all. I think that's all that you ever need to say, BM Furball. Thank you. Another amazing channel you guys should definitely subscribe to. I just want to say the super chats are amazing. Thank you. It means a lot to me and allows me to keep this channel going. So yeah, thank you very much for everyone watching. I've enjoyed tonight. But Steve, what are your thoughts?
I'm suing you. Yeah, well, it is what it is, right? I mean, I noticed that something that's ubiquitous to all flat earthers is that none of them actually seem to have any understanding of any of these things, and yet they seem to, for some reason, feel very confident that they're right and everybody else in reality is wrong. So I don't know. But anyways, yeah, thanks for this, guys. I am having a after show. We are going to drink and kill some brain cells, if there weren't any killed in this particular discussion. It's going to be about 15 minutes or so. I'm putting the link in the video description, or excuse me, the live feed again. It's right there. Come sub to my channel as well. And we're just going to have fun. We're just going to drink and, I don't know, we'll talk about this a little bit, talk about that a little bit. I think I might have some special guests coming in. We'll see.
Awesome.
Maybe.
Oh, so. Steve, thank you very much for coming on my channel. You're one of the first people, again, that I started watching in this whole thing when I first saw you on Non-Sec. Rest in peace, Non Sequitur show. So thank you very much for coming on. It means a lot that you would come on and moderate a debate for me. But for now, guys, we're going to shut it down and go over to Steve's channel. Remember, stupidity is not a right. Fight the flag. Fight the flag.